open. A soft loft, and it's caught inside the 10. Drew Estrada.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
In the corner, touchdown. It's Richardson, Oklahoma State.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Here comes the Penn State blitz. Lots of running room down the sideline. Eric All, the tight end. Will they catch him? No! Touchdown, Michigan. And the lead with 3.5 to go.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Upfield, Tristan Ebner. High steps into the end zone. Baylor capitalizes on the muff punt, and they strike first.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Well, good afternoon on this Wednesday, the eve of Thanksgiving. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports on YouTube. Paul Catalina to my left, Craig Smoke to my right, and Armstrong Sims and Jack McKenzie running the mothership. I'm David Smoke. Glad to have you with us. And we will have numerous guests today, including our conversation with Baylor basketball coach Scott Drew as they have the opening game in that battle for Atlantis down in Bahamas. We'll also hear from Eddie Lackey, former Baylor linebacking great. He's going to be honored for the game or this weekend before Texas Tech or during the game between Texas Tech and Baylor. We got a lot to get to. The college football playoff standings are out again. Cincinnati is in the top 4. Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, and Cincinnati. And we'll hear from Dave Bartu from College Football Matrix today as well on what he thinks of what, in fact, we saw last night. There are still 2 more to come next week and then, of course, after the conference championship weeks. But Cincinnati is in. How can they be out?
Well, they can get a TCU pulled on them and, hey, if you're number 4 right now, the common sense would tell you, and this is what happened at TCU in 2014, is that TCU was ranked number 3 and then didn't play and then somehow dropped to number 6.
Actually, they won big and
won big and then didn't play and then dropped all the way out to number 6. Now, if you're Cincinnati, you're going to play the next couple of weeks, and they'll still find a way to drop them because there's going to be a lot of things that happen around them that justify whatever their narrative is. So that's how they're out.
East Carolina this weekend, and then no matter what, they play Houston for the American Conference Championship the following week. Craig, you think Cincinnati, if they win out, will be in the 4?
Yeah, I think if they win out, they're going to probably have to be in the 4. what are we going to justify moving them out for? If you got them in right now, what's going to change that's going to drop them out? Just somebody played one more game than they've already played. That's better than what Cincinnati played. What is going to be your logistical reasoning? Is it going to be all of a sudden now the big picture counts at the very end when you want it to? If they're 4 right now, what's going to change in the next 2 weeks if they take care of their business that's going to change that?
And one of the things about, if in fact Cincinnati, and Dave Bartu, who always is pretty much throughout the year, I believe, has told us that Cincinnati was not going to be invited, kind of had a change of his tune, and we'll have that with you here in just a second. But they do get to play East Carolina. That's not a given. They're favored to win that game. That's on the road. East Carolina's 7-4. You never know what could happen at a game like that, especially when you look into the end-of-the-year games. And then Houston's playing pretty well. So Cincinnati has to keep on winning. If Houston wins this weekend, that would be another top 25 win for Cincinnati if, in fact, they take care of business against East Carolina and also the University of Houston. We knew Ohio State would move to 2, and I have no problem with that. Alabama is 3. And Alabama, by the way, at the bottom of the poll, Arkansas remains top 25. And I believe there's another team that can move in from the SEC depending on what happens this weekend. It might be Mississippi State can move back in. And then, of course, there's yet another SEC team. And Alabama has like 5 top 25 wins. And there was a point, remember, where it didn't seem like too many at all.
Well, if Mississippi State beats Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl, on Thursday, then you would think that would probably justify them in the top 25.
No, they have to be. Arkansas 7-4 is 25, and Houston 24. Clemson moved into the top 25. Baylor, by the way, 8. Oklahoma State 7. Oklahoma is 10. 7, 8, and 10 in the top 25 of the college football playoff standings, ranked by the committee, are from the Big 12. So let's get into that. Cincinnati is 4. Can Oklahoma State, can they catch any of the 4? They're not going to catch Georgia. And Georgia could lose, of course, it's Alabama. Not expecting them to, but they could. Can Oklahoma State be a problem for Cincinnati?
I would think if they win out, then yes, and especially if they beat this. Well, yeah.
What do you mean? They get the number 10 Oklahoma and what could be number 7 or 8 Baylor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think they'd be a
Oklahoma
problem
again.
Yeah.
Why are they a problem for Cincinnati and not Notre Dame?
Yeah,
Well,
I think
Notre
they're
Dame-
a problem for Notre Dame too.
I mean, that's the thing.
Well,
is-
Cincinnati's 4. That's why I brought them up, because you got to catch 4.
Yeah, but I mean, they're going to have to also jump other teams to get to 4. I mean, they're going to have to get over Michigan, which, okay, Ohio State and Michigan are going to take care of each other, but you can already see, okay, if Michigan beats Ohio State, is Ohio State going to drop 6 spots? Yeah, you would think that with their second loss, they're going to drop behind that bevy of one-loss teams, but, I mean, Notre Dame's 2 spots ahead of Oklahoma State right now. Michigan can get out of their way if what we expect to happen this weekend happens. So that'd be 1 spot. But then after that, yeah, I mean, we already know Alabama's got room for error. I mean, as so long as they don't just get blown out in the SEC championship game, they are already being positioned to be able to lose a second game and still get in. Like, everybody's already just kind of chalked that up, which is funny because that's the only team that really ever happens to, is where you go, yeah, like they're still going to probably lose maybe in a couple weeks, but they'll still be in. So I'm looking at where you're going to jump over teams if you're Oklahoma State or Cincinnati, and yeah, they might be fighting each other for that final spot.
Well, Michigan's going to drop if they lose this weekend. So there's one team you leap, you get to number 5 or 6. Notre Dame's quality wins this year. Who are they? We know they lost at home to Cincinnati. They have one top 25 win this year.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get one this week against Stanford, and they're not in the conference championship game. Wisconsin. 18th ranked Wisconsin.
Yeah. And look,
I know they're Notre Dame.
Yeah, but some things are going to happen this weekend for them to get wins over teams that are bowl eligible. So there's
and Notre Dame, there are many years in which they could have 5 or 6 ranked teams on their schedule. It's not their fault Florida State's down. It's not their fault USC is down. And it's not their fault a couple of other teams aren't having a better year. Sometimes Stanford could be in that mix of a top 25 team. So that's one of the things, the name, and Dave scolded me a little bit when I recorded the interview with him last night. He scolded me about using logos. He goes, that's not a case. I don't believe that. I think logos are very much the case, and that's why you see most of the time logos get the best players and also end up with the best teams as well. All right, so Baylor's the number 8. What is the highest they could possibly get if they win this weekend and if they win the Big 12 championship? And, of course, they need help to do that.
Probably 5 would be the highest they could possibly get. They're not going to be a playoff team.
No.
I mean, I'm not going to pretend like that's even a possibility because I don't believe that it is. Even if they take care of their business and all hell breaks loose, I still think that the committee would, they'd slight them for the starting quarterback being hurt all of a sudden or something like that. So I think 5, and even if all hell broke loose, I mean, that'd be interesting to kind of see where they'd maybe fall. But I'll be honest with you, like all this playoff talk and all that, like until I see them beat Tech, I don't care for any of it, honestly. I mean, I know there's other fan bases to talk about and stuff, but in terms of Baylor, like this Big 12 championship stuff, like you have to mention it. You have to mention where they are and what this weekend means and all of that. And we've been doing that all week long, and I've written about it like 5 times already in the last 4 days. But I need to see them go beat Tech. And then we can talk playoffs and we can talk, all the other stuff. And obviously a few hours after that's over with, we'll know what happens in Bedlam and whether or not they're, if they do win, if they do have a shot to get in the Big 12 title game. But I think that given this year, if they don't beat Tech, it's a massive disappointment. I mean, like giant disappointment.
Like TCU disappointment.
Like easily the level of TCU, because at TCU, at that point, you knew that you were in the mix. This week, you're entering it. You're at home. You've got maybe the most respectable senior class you've ever had in the history of the school, just because of what all those guys have gone through and where they are back again. I mean, you look at their careers, like the Petries and the Bernards and where they are. They're at home. I mean, the only thing really going against them is the fact that Gary Bohannon got hurt. I think if he had stayed healthy, everybody would be even more confident in this game. But I still have a lot of confidence in Blake Shapen. I think there's a lot working in their favor. And if they don't take advantage of that this weekend and at least give themselves the opportunity to see that result and have that result, mean something in the Oklahoma State game, then yeah, you can be whatever record you want to be and win whatever games you won, but it would be a disappointment.
And by the way, when you talk about Baylor getting the championship and all hell breaking loose, it is all hell breaking loose, not for just 1 week, for 2 straight weeks. That's what it's going to take for them to go from 8 with 2 losses at 8. I mean, you're talking about definitely need to see Alabama get blown away. I mean, like Georgia would have to blow them away in the SEC title game.
Okay,
Michigan would have to beat Ohio State.
What if that game is 30-10? What if Alabama loses to Georgia 30-10?
I think that's a blowout. That's 20 points.
Yeah,
but but then Michigan's going to have to beat Ohio State, and then like after the biggest win in 5 years in their program, or whatever it is, how long it's been since they beat them, the biggest win ever, then they've got to turn around and lose in the Big Ten title game.
Yep.
That would have to happen. Cincinnati would probably have to lose, for them to get in. So there's all these things that have to happen.
They'd have to beat Oklahoma State.
Yeah, they have to beat Oklahoma. Yeah, they've got to win. They've got to win out, and then everybody else has to, save for maybe 1 or 2 teams, have absolute disaster happen to them.
So it's not realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, even in crazy college football years, it's still not even realistic. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying is, that Texas Tech game's all that really matters for them as far as playoff stuff. If you're Ohio State, talk playoffs. If you're Georgia, talk playoffs. But, I mean, even you still have huge games remaining, so that's no guarantee.
All right, let me ask you this about Baylor. Is Baylor 8? This is a team that lost to TCU. Remember, that was just 2 weeks ago. Is Baylor high because they're trying to protect Oklahoma State as a possible team that eventually gets in? We've talked about props. And I'm not saying Baylor doesn't deserve 8. I think it's great that they've been able to battle back from that loss to TCU by beating Oklahoma. And then, of course, with what they did against Kansas State. But is that a possible prop for Oklahoma State with the committee?
Yeah, of course. I'm sure it is. But then again, you look at who's around them and who you're going to – I mean, given what they've done, I mean, you got to give them some credit. They've got 3 top 25 wins. They beat BYU, which is another quality win that doesn't that counts as one of those top 25 wins. But what, BYU, Iowa State, Oklahoma, I mean, those are 3 pretty good wins right there. And that TCU loss, like that's, again, and at the time – I know people were like, gosh, it's only just a loss, but it's like, now look at it weeks later and look how it still matters. It still matters because you're probably, coasting into the Big 12 championship game without that TCU loss, and you're in the playoff conversation without that TCU loss because you'd have the opportunity to go avenge your only loss, and you'd only have the one, and it'd be to Oklahoma State, who's top 10, top 5, so or top could be top 5-ish after this weekend. So, yeah, I mean that was a brutal loss when you look back on it. It really was.
Gary Barta, the Iowa athletic director, who's also the spokesperson, there's a couple of quotes. I want to just read them, and you guys react to them. We've had a lot of respect for Cincinnati all year, but this win against SMU, the way they played offensively and defensively, we had a lot of opinions, but they came in at number 4.
So now SMU's good.
Now, yeah, okay.
So this week, after SMU, at their lowest point of the season, mind you.
Yeah.
Now they're good.
Now we acknowledge, that you've lost your worst game of the year. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Notre Dame has been building momentum all year. They are a terrific team, and they are highly thought of by the committee.
Of course they are. They would be even if the season hadn't been as what it's been. And look, Notre Dame most years probably would, with their record 11-1, get in the playoff. But as long as Cincinnati's there, the committee's going to have a really hard time justifying that. Because not only the way that they lost to Cincinnati, it wasn't exactly like Cincinnati came back and had a miracle. Cincinnati kicked their ass.
Yep.
And so because of that, you can justify Notre Dame all you want. And the thing is, it's like right now, I'm sure that was in response to a question about Notre Dame, but they don't have to justify Notre Dame. They don't have to. Notre Dame's justified where they are. They don't have to do it. It's just one of those things that makes you think like, okay, well, why now? Because the only other team in the playoff that's played Notre Dame is Cincinnati. So that's why you have to justify it. So saying Notre Dame's really good helps Cincinnati, but unless you're going to turn around and, TCU Cincinnati and drop them out because, you just wanted to throw them a bone.
If Ohio State and Michigan is close, Ohio State remains, of course, in the top 4. Maybe they move them around. Maybe they set up whatever happens with Alabama. And against Auburn, you never know, although you think this year that should be Alabama rolling against Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, you will see. Obviously, I mean, as I was saying, is like you would think and you would, likely and probably and yeah, but there's games this weekend, So, like, I mean, we need to see these play out, and that's the thing that happens when these rankings come out is we treat the latest set like they're the last set sometimes, and it's like, wait, no, there's still 2 big weeks remaining that have like big time games, that could shake this whole thing up. So it is what it is right now, but yeah, I mean, the conversation is accurate as far as where you see them being positioned, though. I mean, you can see that the chess pieces starting to get set up for where they want it after this weekend, and it'll fall, again, barring any chaos, like they want it to fall to set it up to where they want it for next week, for conference championship weekend to set up what they want the following week, and really all that can change that is just, some of these teams that they're not expecting to win to go out and do just that. But going back to that question about, Baylor and where they're ranked, I mean, you look around, I mean, who are you going to put above them again? Everybody else has got 2 losses just like they do, but probably, in some cases, less top 25 wins.
And they beat Oklahoma, who's 10-1.
And they beat Oklahoma. Yeah. I mean, and they not only beat Oklahoma, they beat Oklahoma's ass. Like, let's face it, they beat their ass. So that, I think, proved a lot to people. But, going back to SMU and Cincinnati as well, The Athletic had a really good piece on like being embedded with SMU for the game week against Cincinnati, and their, I guess, take on the piece, from what I could tell, was like looking at how people are preparing for Cincinnati, because again, they're judging Cincinnati like everybody else is, right? They're putting them under the microscope and be like, what's the big deal with this team? Like, why are they a big deal? And you could definitely sense there was some elements of Sonny Dykes and the TCU stuff going on, but SMU was like super confident going into that game. Like, they had some injuries, like Danny Gray, their wide receiver, was out, and he's a very good player. It wouldn't have changed the outcome of that game though, but like they were shocked. They just prepared for Cincinnati and thought that they were all set to go, and then by the end of it, Dykes had no answers. Just like, they just outplayed us in every single way, shape, or form. Like, there was nothing surprising about what they did. We were totally prepared. They just like beat us, just straight up outplayed us, and I thought that was a good look for the Bearcats.
We will later on discuss the Big 12 weekend and also look at the games and have some predictions as well. A couple of notes in college basketball. Scott Drew will join us on the show today on their game with Arizona State. Gonzaga hammered UCLA 83-63 last night. Arkansas 73, Cincinnati 67. Cincinnati, of course, a team coming into the conference very soon. Wisconsin beat Houston, is that right? 65-63. And Illinois came back after the loss earlier in the week to Cincinnati to beat Kansas State. So those are a couple of the men's basketball scores from last night.
Well, if the number 2 team in the country is getting beat by the number 1 by 20 points, then either the rankings are not very good and they completely overrated UCLA, which is what happened, or Gonzaga is the greatest team. Like, let's go and start crowning them again like we did last year, and see if that doesn't come back to bite you again at the end of the year like it did with the championship
I don't
game.
think UCLA is overrated. They have almost everybody back. They just got blitzed by Gonzaga.
Yeah, and I think that the Zags are going to be a fantastic team again, but the tweets we saw last night, Gonzaga or the field, are way too premature, because Gonzaga beat Kansas last year like a drum.
Yep.
They beat a couple other teams like that before they got into their conference, and then I think really what happened to Gonzaga is they got in the conference, they didn't get challenged. UCLA challenged them finally in the Final Four, and then they saw the true buzzsaw that was Baylor. That was truly the best team in the country last year, and you take the little COVID pause out of it, and they proved that night on April 6th in Indianapolis.
I will say this, and then we break and come back with Dave Bartu on the college football standings. Now, Gonzaga has 2 wins already this year against top 5 teams. Texas, who perhaps was probably overmodulated, although they won that game by 12, and that was at Gonzaga, and now number 2 UCLA by 20. They have Duke coming up next, and that is this week. When we come back, Dave Bartu, College Football Matrix, his thoughts on the release of the standings, his thoughts about Cincinnati at 4, and will they stay there, and much more to come. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
It's the Black Friday sales event going on now. Come see the beautiful, elegant third-row seat Jeep Grand Cherokee L in stock at Allen Samuels. The 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo or Limited has total values of $3,500 or 0% for 72 months going on now and no payments for 90 days. First responders get an extra $500 cash. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac.
Gary Bartu, he's our guy. College football standings and release for the playoff. And again, for many more things than that as well, joins us Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Let's cut straight to it. Cincinnati's in the top 4. We know what happened over the weekend. Do you feel like this is just appeasing anyone that was kind of complaining about Cincinnati? Are they going to be this year's version of 2014 TCU?
No, I don't think they'll be this year's version of 2014 TCU because Cincinnati at least has a conference championship game. Bob screwed this up by not having the conference championship game. I guarantee you, if Baylor TCU played in a Big 12 championship game, one of those two was going to be top 4 at the end. Period. That's the way it works. You know, and what happened is when they got left out, They got left out because there was no championship game. That championship game is an extra top 25 win. It's an extra quality win. It's an extra boost in strength of schedule. It's everything. That's why they got bumped down. And then the reason that it also got bumped down is when Bob said, look, it's a tie. There's no winner. Okay, fine. You can be tied outside the top 4. So that's what happened there. Now, Cincinnati, completely different set of circumstances. They do have a conference championship game. I think they're slated. Are they slated to play Houston right now?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, so they're going to pick up a top 25 win. If they beat Houston, we're all destined for Cincinnati to lose. We're destined for Alabama to get beat by Georgia, and Notre Dame sneaks into the 4th spot. That's how this is all supposed to work, right?
That is one of the conspiracy theories, no question about it. Yeah.
Well, I think we're down to 7 teams, though. We're down to the top 7, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State. That's it. I think, everybody else is drawn dead right now, in my opinion.
If Oklahoma State wins Bedlam, turns around, and then beats Baylor for a second time, who's ranked in the top 10, and, of course, they have Texas Tech, are they in?
Yes, they are. They are, because in that circumstance, if Bama beats Georgia, Georgia's still going to get the 4th spot. Oklahoma State's going to get the 3rd spot. And if Alabama beats Georgia, it's going to be Alabama, Georgia both being in. If Georgia beats Alabama, Georgia's going to stay 1, Ohio State will be 2, Oklahoma State is still going to be 3, and 4 will be whoever's left over. It's going to be Cincinnati or Notre Dame or Alabama. But the way I see it right now, 12-1 Oklahoma State is locked into the 3 seed.
So let's say this. You get down to where that happens the way you mentioned, and you get to 4. You have Alabama, a 2-loss Alabama, might depend on how well they play against Georgia, and that's, of course, if they take care of business against Auburn. And then you have the Cincinnati-Notre Dame thing. There's no way, Dave, even if they're like, look, if that is obvious that Cincinnati has to be 4 and Notre Dame outside of 4, what's going to happen?
Oh, if Cincinnati wins out in that scenario?
Yeah.
I think, if you're looking at Cincinnati 12-1, Alabama 11-2,
Cincinnati would be 13-0. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be 13-0. They would be the 4 seed.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
They'd be the 4 seed.
So,
yeah, it is, and it's all because they played at Notre Dame. It's all Notre Dame's fault, right? It was at Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame.
And there was always the thought, and again, some things happened this weekend. Michigan State got their doors blown off. Oregon losing badly to Utah knocked them out of the equation. So in the end, there's a chance, more than just a chance, but a pretty good chance that Cincinnati, a group of 5 team, will be in the mix. It's not in the mix. They're in the mix, but they could get to the playoff. Isn't that what people clamor for? I don't know what ESPN clamors for, or the big boys in the room, but there's no way you could keep them out.
I guess you could if you wanted to be a jerk about it and go outside the ranking rules, but the bottom line at 13-0, having beat Notre Dame and within the framework of the rules that the committee works under, they've played their way in. There was enough chaos, and now granted, they still got to win 2 more football games. I mean, This is a team that has beat Tulane by a touchdown and beat Navy by a score and has dodged a lot of bullets on the way. And you and I both know we've been doing this long enough. Usually national title winners at some point dodge a bullet. Heck, look at Georgia. Yeah. Clemson was a pick 6 away from beating them in week 1. Cincinnati, though, is in position. They are certainly not out of it. 1 through 7. Actually, 1 is in. Georgia's in. So right now, what we really have is we have 6 teams playing for 3 spots.
Yep, that's what you're saying. And again, Cincinnati does play at East Carolina. Again, you never know what can happen. That's a 7-4 team as well, even though they'll be favored. So, what if Michigan plays Ohio State really, really tight? What if and I think Ohio State can beat most anybody right now. And, of course, that game with Georgia, if that ever happens, would be fun. because of the octane offense of Ohio State and what they look like. But I like to look into some opportunities here. What if Michigan plays Ohio State off their you-know-what, 30-27? Can they still get? They won't have a Big Ten game, so they're done, right? That's kind of an elimination game.
They're done.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of an elimination game. That's the whammy of losing a football game.
Yeah.
Is not only do you have a loss, but you're not picking up a quality win. You're not picking up a top 25 win. So now you're looking at Michigan at 10-2. With 4 quality wins, 1 top 25 win. Alabama, if they lose to Georgia, 11-2, and they're going to have 5 quality wins, 3 top 25 wins, and a tougher strength of schedule. So I think both of them losing, Alabama's still going to be favored over Michigan in the rankings because of the resume. So, but Michigan still controls their destiny.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they beat Ohio State, and look, the ball ain't round. Bounces go funny, and Michigan's very talented on offense, on defense, and so Michigan, just like Oklahoma State, and Ohio State, they are all in the same boat. They are trying to play their way in, same as Alabama. Those 4, they're trying to play their way in. Notre Dame and Cincinnati probably need help.
So Alabama could end up with 2 losses and still get in. Can Ohio State lose to Michigan and get into the 4? Can they be a college football playoff team? They got the brand name. They're Ohio State.
Stop with the brands. You know that doesn't go into these equations. People just want to believe it does. It just so happens that the biggest brands are also the best recruiters. So That's just the way it is. But with Ohio State, look, if they lose to Michigan, they've already lost once at home. I believe this game is at the Horseshoe as well. So they're going to have 2 losses at home. They're going to have a strength of schedule that will not be better than Alabama's, that will not be better than Michigan's. Their quality win total will be.
The game's actually game. No, I thought you said the game's in Ann Arbor, so it would be a road.
Is Ann Arbor? Yeah. I just when you look at these 2-loss teams, Alabama with 2 losses, Ohio State with 2 losses, Michigan with 2 losses. Alabama has done enough to be the best 2-loss team. Their game control is there. Their strength of schedule is going to be there. I think Alabama, if they lose to Georgia, then they're in line for needing help, which would Ohio State needs to lose, Notre Dame needs to lose, Cincinnati needs to lose, that kind of stuff.
All right, so you mentioned Oklahoma State at 7. That 7 teams have a chance. If, in fact, Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State and then beats them again, they're 10-1 right now. And yes, they have at times been kind of a mystery. Would that be enough with the loss to Baylor but beating Oklahoma State if they did back-to-back weeks? And I'm not so sure they win this weekend, but would that be enough to somehow launch them deep into the, we got to look at them seriously or not?
Inside the numbers, no. I don't believe so, because Oklahoma right now, their strength of schedule, according to what Bill Hancock said, is the strength of schedule formula back in 2014. We have Oklahoma right now at 105th. All right, so their strength of schedule is only worse than Cincinnati in the top 15. All right, so I know they'll play Oklahoma State back-to-back, and that will help, but they are going to get 2 quality wins out of that. Their game control has been poor. I think really what it comes down to is in our formula, and it's reared its mighty head before, margin of loss. Now, if you look at everybody else above them, Alabama, they got a loss by a field goal, okay? Ohio State lost by a touchdown at home. Michigan lost on the last play of the game by 4 on the road. Notre Dame got beat pretty hard at home, okay? But Oklahoma got smoked. Absolutely smoked by Baylor. That margin of loss, I'm saying right now, I don't really care what Oklahoma does. In the model, we have them on the outside looking in at the playoffs, no matter what they do.
Baylor has the loss that is going to haunt them to TCU. If they beat Texas Tech and then they beat Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship game, how close can they get? It doesn't appear, based on what you're saying, that they have a chance with the 2 losses. But if they avoid one of the losses with a win against Oklahoma State, if they take care of business against Tech as well, can they get at least a seat at the table where they have to be discussed at all?
In the Final Four, no, I don't believe so. With that bad loss to TCU, and I mean, it is what it is. Even Oregon was right on the edge of even if they won out, that bad loss at Stanford is haunting for them. Obviously, Baylor, if they hadn't lost to TCU, would be sitting at 7 right now. They'd be in Oklahoma State spot, and Oklahoma State would be, and they would possibly have the opportunity. Unfortunately, I just don't see it for them being able to win out and get there. This is going to be one of those years where, like, darn it, we wish there was a 12-team playoff this year, right?
Yeah, well, kind of like losing to West Virginia after they had beaten TCU in 2014 that came back to hurt them, plus the lack of a championship game. Okay, you always talk about there's a team in the top 25 down at the bottom. You've kind of, you've taught me this, that there's a prop. I don't know who that would be. Arkansas is 25. Houston is 24. Clemson is moved to 23 now after the win against Wake Forest. And then after that, it's UT San Antonio, San Diego State, North Carolina State.
Right. It all makes sense, right? I mean, our rankings, actually, the model that we had, all 25 teams that are in the current top 25 today, we had modeled in the top 25. They didn't pull anything up from below 25. I think this is a week. There's no props there. This is what it is supposed to look like. Now, the one team that can actually really influence this, if there's full chaos, okay? Mm-hmm. Alabama loses to Georgia. Cincinnati loses. Alabama, Michigan, Oklahoma State, Baylor, Oklahoma, they're all kind of milling around. Let's say there's 6 teams and one number 4 spot, right? The big game, we had Mississippi State modeled at 26. And if they beat Ole Miss this week, Ole Miss will stay in the top 25. Mississippi State will get into the top 25. That will give Alabama the extra top 25 win that maybe they need to secure that 4 spot. Nothing's propping everything up right now, but I think the game to look at if you're looking for chaos, Mississippi State beating Ole Miss at home is about the only thing I can see in there to prop up Alabama. The other one out there is Kansas State. They're at 7-4. We had them at number 30, and they have a brutal strength of schedule. Who do they play this week?
Kansas State plays Texas. The quarterback is hurt. They should win the game.
Okay.
Texas
should win the game.
Are hurt too, but Skylar Thompson may be out.
Yeah. Yeah, Texas is the biggest underperformer in college football this year.
Oh, no question.
It's Sarkisian. He's what I call dead man walking. He's minus 6 games coach effect, minus 4 in your first year. Only 5 guys have survived to their 4th year in the last 20. So I think Sark is already done. He's got a 1 in 20 chance of pulling this out and making something of it. So Kansas State at 8-4 might be able to sneak into the top 25, which would definitely help the other Big 12 teams trying to win out above them.
All right. Last week, I believe Gary Barta, Iowa's AD, who's the spokesperson, said something about, well, other than watching the games, or some comment that drove a lot of people over the edge. And then today he specifically talks about everything about Ohio State and Michigan State as if they watched the entire game. Is that just another thing where one week he says one thing, the next week he says something else?
I don't, it's a changing narrative. The media has a changing narrative. I find most of the guys, your SEC honk, your Pac-12 honk, this guy, all they do is their complaints that they have, they just project it onto the committee. They blame the committee for their own problems with the process. So, with Barta, it's kind of a thankless job because, when they talk about watching the games, how many people on the committee really can evaluate watching a team on TV week after week fairly, right? Now if Coach Aranda said, "Hey, I watched all 30 teams for 2 hours apiece," I would value his time and expertise to be able to do that. But this committee member can't do it. AP voters don't have the time and expertise.
Right.
Neither do the coaches poll. So the whole eye test thing is a false narrative. It doesn't exist. These people don't have the time and expertise to do it. The people that do have the expertise don't have the time. So I think when they say stuff like that, it is just designed to keep the focus away from the simplicity that is ranking these teams and trying to keep it complex and keep people engaged. Because if the viewers stop being engaged, then it stops being marketable, and then it stops making money. And now we got to find something else to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question, Gary. I'm sorry, Dave Bartu at College Football Matrix. Craig asked me to ask you this about what is the most overrated head coaching job in college football?
Overrated head coach or the most overrated job?
Overrated head coaching job in college football.
Oh, the overrated one, like an awesome job that is really not that awesome.
Yeah, like, for example, now we know Florida's open, LSU's open, USC's open, and there's others that have opened, Washington. But and I'm not saying any of those are it, because they all have great kind of like something to cling on to. Is there one in particular that
I think maybe what comes to mind, what probably, and I've been saying this for a long time, I think the most overrated job is the one that has the national championship expectations without a national championship history. You could call that Texas, but I think that's more recent. I think the biggest brand that people expect the most out of incorrectly is Michigan. Michigan hasn't done anything of significance. Yeah, they have the most wins of all time. Cool. You know, from pre-Civil War through World War I, they won 6,000 games. That's awesome, you know. But really, when you think about it, Bo Schembler didn't win a thing. You know, he didn't win at all. The best coach at Michigan is Lloyd Carr, and Michigan never recruits in the top 10. So you have national championship dreams with a program that's never had the talent to be there except one time. So I think the toughest job, the most thankless job that people overrank year in and year out, Michigan's got to be one of the top three. I would say Texas. I think Notre Dame is really tough, too, because of the admission standards.
Dave, as always, you gave me some extra special time this week. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely, brother. Anytime. You know where I'm at.
Yep. Dave Bartu, College Football Matrix on 365 Sports and Sikkim 365 Radio.
Black Friday. It gets all the attention, but what about Truck Friday? Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and we say enough is enough. Cologne for Christmas? What, do you want to smell nice when you hit a deer? I'll take a grill guard for $100 off instead. If your wife is thinking about getting you some slippers for Christmas because your feet look cute with bunny ears, you better put the brakes on that and send her to Pickup Outfitters. We got a truckload of specials for Truck Friday. Free installation on all bed covers purchased at Pickup Outfitters. Hard folding bed covers as low as $8.99. $300 off ranch hand front bumpers. $150 off ranch hand rear bumpers. $100 off any ranch hand or Frontier grill guard. $50 off any toolbox. $100 off RKI heavy duty toolboxes. A complete list of specials is in our showroom. Truck Friday is 8 days only from Friday, November 26th through Saturday, December 4th. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. On the web at createacommotion.com/Truck Friday.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
High school football playoffs, week number 3 in the state of Texas, the regional semifinals. And there's some great games around the area, but one game intriguing to me for a couple of different reasons. Diboll and Academy out of Little River. They have never been to the third round, and both of them are now in the third round. So whoever wins tonight will be obviously as deep as they've ever been in the quarterfinals as well. 6 o'clock in College Station at Cougar Stadium or Cougar Field. One of the neat things about Academy, their head coach, Chris Lancaster, was a longtime offensive line coach at Baylor. And he also, as a graduate, played football at Clemson. He's now a high school coach at Academy. He's turned the Bumblebees around. They're 11-1. And their story this year has been one that has, well, been record-breaking.
Academy, what a year. 11-1. Diboll, third round of the playoffs in Class 3A Division I, joined by Chris Lancaster, the head coach of the Bumblebees at Academy. Hey, this is a game that I love, the matchup. Two teams that have kind of in uncharted territory. Chris, your thoughts about what you've done and also what they've done with Coach Morrison at Diboll?
Well, yeah, let's start with them, man. I tell you what, they're a dynamic team, got a great ball club, very physical up front, can run the football very well and throws it just enough to keep you honest. Defensively, I think I'm kind of facing Joe Lee Dunn. I kidded with Coach Morris the other day. He doesn't wear a headset. He's just out there freelancing, calling it, and you can tell he's well experienced in his pedigree, where he's come from that East Texas, that deep, I believe the Barbay family, with his background. So just a great overall program. I've got a lot of familiarity. I know them very well. I mean, I've recruited that area through my days at college coaching in that area, and just know the athleticism that's over there. So it's going to be a great ball club. But what we've done this year, I would have never thought we'd have gone like we have. But this group's just a special group of kids, and it's all, led by our seniors right now, and with a good group of juniors and a big group of sophomores that are just, I'll tell you what, the brotherhood they have is so close.
What have you done? Because this is the first 10-win season, the longest they've ever gone past, as far as they've been 7-5, I think, one time. Here you are in the third round. Was it just truly just a culture thing, or was it that you have a nice run of talent as well?
I think it's a combination of both, David. we got players. I'm not going to fool you. We got a young quarterback that's doing some good things, but he's got a receiving core. We got a very good young offensive line. Our running backs are starting to pick it up defensively. We're bend, don't break, and, man, they're making plays. I think we've got the best kicker in Central Texas, and Blake Bundy, and what all he's been able to do with his leg, with our field goals, kicking off, getting touchbacks. When we do have to punt, he flips the field. So it just all plays in hand-to-hand. But going back to the culture, I think, when we took over 2 years ago and we made it fun. We came in a bad situation with COVID, and our goal was to make it fun for the seniors, and we just kind of kept that going. And, today's world of coaching, I've had to change. Being 54, almost 55 of years of age, I can't coach the way I was coached. And I at some point, you got to enjoy the kids, but yet at the same token, find that fine line to have discipline and do things right. We're educating them on the fourth thing, being good citizenship. We're always raised on you got to be sound in the offense, defense, and special teams. But I think the fourth thing really plays a major factor in today's football and life, in being a good citizen and learning those things to control adversity. Like last week, we went down and played a great team in East Chambers in a stadium we've never been in, a group of officials we never had before. And so, but we had to go in there and represent ourselves and not only just focus on OD and special teams, but the whole ball of wax. And it's been paying off.
Yeah, you mentioned you can't coach the way you used to, and maybe even the way you were coached. Is right. That what's the I know you're very intense. What do you mean by that?
Well, there's some things that aren't being supported in today's society. I mean, you even go look at schools, inside the schools. We have lessened the dress code. We have lessened some things here and there. We're accommodating a lot of things in this world. When I was coming up, it was their way or the highway. And if I'm that way, I'll probably have no kids to coach. So at the same token, you got to take a group of young men, form that unity and have that team style mentality. There is some individualized in there, but the overall, you got to preach teamwork, brotherhood. It's just different, David. It's just hard to explain. Yeah. It really is. Oh, it really is. I mean, back in my day, they didn't give us water. They kicked us. They cussed us. They grabbed our face masks. We can't do that no more, and I don't want to do that. I don't. And I got to find a different way to motivate a kid. And I think we all know that. We're seeing the changes, and even our military has lightened up a little bit in the way they train. But yet, the outcome is still expected. We're still entertainment, and on Friday night, they still want us all to win. But we got to find that special flair to get it done. And these kids are responding to whatever we're doing, so to speak, and we're having a good time doing it, but we're also putting a good product out on that football field. And I'm sure there's going to be a big bully, a monster that's going to come up and hit us in the mouth, and we'll have to regroup, and I know that's coming somewhere down the road.
So, you played good people. I know Clifton didn't have a very good year, but your non-district games were – everybody had a winning record, Groesbeck, Lago Vista, Rogers. You lost to Lorena, and I don't know who's going to beat them, and you might play them again here very quickly. Who knows? But what game was it when you realized this team was better than perhaps you thought?
I'm going to say the Lago Vista game. Because in Lago Vista, we really faced some adversity. And we turned the ball over, and they went down and scored. We had the lead. And they went down and scored, kicked an onside kick, then went down and scored again, and now we're behind with about 3 minutes left. And we had to go down and score, or at least kick out a score, and we kicked out a score to take the lead. But we had to go play defense with about 1.5 minutes left. And while we were kicking that field goal, one of our players got injured, one of our sophomore D linemen, Tyler Burnett, and he blew his ankle out. I mean, it was the ugliest thing I've ever seen on the field. It took us about 20 minutes to get him off the field. And so with all that adversity, and then with a chance to, we kicked the game-winning field goal, and so they were even off sides. We could have taken the points off and went for a touch. I said, no, we're going to keep the points, and we just got to go play defense. And I saw our team really step up at that point. And then we came into a tough game against Lorena. And I knew that our first district game, that was going to be, they were going to hit us in the mouth. I mean, Coach Biles and his staff up there, they do a great job. They're the Cadillac right now in our district. And, it's evident it's in the, it's showing up right now as they're making a great run through these playoffs. But we got hit in the mouth, but we never quit. Mm-hmm. And I think those two games right there, back to back, showed me that these kids are going to stand up and fight and bend, don't break, and stay together, no finger pointing, and these coaches stayed together. I mean, and then we just made a heck of a run from there and just, played ball one play at a time.
Well, so Chris Lancaster, head coach at Academy High School, Bumblebees and Diboll, both teams where they've never been before, 3 rounds deep in the playoffs in a game coming up this week. You were an offensive line coach, and that's kind of your bread and butter. How much has that affected what you do now at Academy, and how much have you been involved in that?
Well, I have my fingers in everything, or my hands in everything, especially the offensive line. We went through a line change this past year. I had a coach last year that got an opportunity to go to Lake Belton, and he did that. So I brought in, and we had another guy on staff, and I made him the line coach. But I kind of oversee all that. I call the offensive plays. I turn everything over to my defense, everything over to my special teams coordinator. And but I have a great offensive staff, so it really allows me to focus on the game plan itself and get in a rhythm during a course of a game. And the only thing that I'm pressured with is whether or not to call a timeout or to go for it on 4th down. So all my coaches will really do a great job of supporting that and supporting our team. They know their roles, and it's like we got different head coaches on staff. And I hate saying it that way, but that's the way I am. And I don't even turn on the headset to the defense during the course of the game. And I let them go. I trust them. And same thing with our special teams. I'll say here, think about this here and there. But other than that, we all work together. And it's really allowed me to become a better head coach, especially an offensive coordinator, without having to worry about the other things that might take my mind off calling that right play. And so this is like the first round we had to go into overtime. Well, at some point I had to gather my thoughts and get a game plan together. And if I'm thinking about everything, then that would distract from that. So it's just been a great year so far.
All right, you have Clemson is where you got your degree. I know this year they've been kind of up and down based on the standard that Dabo has set there. How proud are you of what they've become? And they were good. I know all about Danny Ford and your history there as well. But how about what they've become of late?
Well, no doubt. I mean, I'm always going to be loyal and true to my school. I mean, heck, Smoke, I named a daughter Clemson, and so I don't care what they do. I'm going to still support my school, but it's been nice knowing that they're doing things right. What I've always appreciated about Dabo and his staff, it seems like to me he has taken the corporate side out of things. Mm-hmm. When you compare their program to a couple of the top elite, it looks more corporate. Ours looks more family, more fun. Now, I know at some point, if they're not winning, they're going to use that against them. I understand that. But here's a guy that's doing it his way. He's very spiritual. He's got a great faith. And he sincerely, I think, loves the kids. And I know a lot of his coaches on his staff, a couple of them, we were teammates back in the day. So it's been nice and refreshing just to see that aspect of it, but also keeping the Clemson family excited and always being at the top. You can't count them out. I mean, they're still having a great year. They just beat Wake Forest, and we got to go down and beat South Carolina this week.
Do you still, with the locale of where you are, see how Baylor has yet again reinvented themselves? Coach Briles and what happened, and then, of course, they were good, and he left. And then Rule comes in. Healy, but they were good his third year, and now what they're doing at 9-2 with Dave Aranda?
It's awesome. I'm very proud of Baylor, too. I spent 10 years of some years coaching there, and with 3 different staff head coaches, Grant Taft, Chuck Reedy, Guy Morris, and very proud of Baylor. I knew once they got that facility and everything on campus it was just going to explode a matter of time. Baylor's a hard school not to like, and especially if you're a youngster and want a great environment, a good education, and right here, centrally located in Texas. And having Sean Bell there on staff, I've been able, and Dave Wetzel, and just being able to have that and still being linked in a little bit, and the alumni, the ex-players are coming back and very supportive. It's just a great thing to see, and I think they built a stadium that's perfect for their niche, and that's a great game day environment, and just exciting times here. And Waco needs that, and Central Texas needs that. And my hat's off to Dave Aranda for what he's been able to do. And now they're running the football. My God, they're running the football, and that really helps, and that alleviates some pressure off of the quarterback. But when you run the way they're running the football, it's been very impressive.
Chris Lancaster, head coach at Academy and Diaball. Someone's going to the quarterfinal round. Thanks for your time, buddy. Appreciate your time, Coach.
Man, appreciate it, Smokey. Thank you.
This is the High School Football Podcast on 365 Sports.
It's Baylor football season, and as always, Berg Colgin Ford supports the green and gold. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgin Ford. It's time for team celebrations and BU touchdowns. Berg Colgin Ford is your home team when it comes to trucks and tailgates. Ford has the perfect truck for you to host a top-ranked tailgate party. Here's to a winning season for our hometown Bears. Visit us anytime at bkford.com. Buying made simple at BK Ford. Sic 'em Bears.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Masters of Barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads, crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer, or order Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary or Coach's margaritas and mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco, and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco, is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Shapen, a soft loft, and it's caught inside the 10. Drew Estrada.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Welcome back, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. We appreciate all of you who are a part of the chat room and, of course, with YouTube, plus the text line at 254-339-1122, and our great sponsors as we head into the holidays with Thanksgiving tomorrow. Big 12 football, we know all about Bedlam. That game has major implications. Oklahoma State is already in the Big 12 championship game, no matter what happens at home against Oklahoma. Oklahoma needs to win to get to the Big 12 championship game. Baylor, to get in, must beat Texas Tech at home and then hope that Oklahoma State beats Oklahoma to play in Arlington the following week. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke, and here we go, guys. Kansas State at Texas in a battle where we don't know Skylar Thompson's status. Texas has had injuries to Thompson and also Card. This game here is a team in Kansas State still playing well. Played well Saturday against a team in Texas that seems like they've checked out.
Yeah, I for that reason alone, even if it's Will Howard, who I can't remember the name of forgive me.
I think it was Lewis or someone.
Darren
Lewis.
Yeah, Darren Lewis that came in at quarterback at the end. Whoever plays quarterback for Kansas State, if they stay within the Chris Kleiman plan, should be able to lead this team enough on offense to beat Texas, a team that's given up. You know, when you're in a press conference the week before Kansas State and you're already answering questions and vibrantly about next year, Steve Sarkisian, which I think he should be. I mean, he's already saying, look, here's the deal. He's essentially put the guys on notice for this week. But I think this Texas team, and you saw it last week against Virginia, they just have no oomph anymore at all. Any oomph they had probably died in the middle of that Kansas game or maybe towards the end when they came back. But they just don't have it. Even without Skylar Thompson, he was carted off last week, so it would be surprising me if he played. But even without Skylar Thompson, I get Kansas State in this one for sure.
I'll take Texas in this game if no Skylar Thompson. I think they're a completely different team without Skylar Thompson. I mean, look at what Jaron Lewis did last week. What happened?
Threw a pick.
Game right there, not for the taking. They had to go out and earn it, but the game's still within reach, and Skylar Thompson goes out, and the very first play, they throw an interception that seals the game. And not even like trying to make a play. Like, Jaron Lewis threw it directly to the guy on the very first play of scrimmage. So, to me, I have no idea in this game, honestly. I could talk myself into either one, and I could give you like an hour on either one and why they'll win. I have no freaking clue in this game because both of them have huge wild cards. If K-State had Skylar Thompson, I would take them hands down, no question, wouldn't still be talking. But because he's hurt and not likely to play, I mean, that really throws it for a loop for me. So I know there's no reason to believe in Texas right now, but for some reason I'm like leaning them because of that Thompson injury.
Well, I'll just say Kansas State because, again, their defense still played at an incredibly high level. I wouldn't expect Thompson to play. If he does, that's fantastic. Lewis has thrown 23 passes. Will Howard has been a starter before, been in and out of the lineup, has not been able to keep that job. Deuce Vaughn, he could have a huge game with Texas in their struggles against, of course, the run. We'll see what happens there. I'll take Kansas State. But I do think that Texas, it's the last game. A lot of them are probably excited. There's no bowl game. I think some players have probably checked it out, but they'll still give it up one more time. But I think Kansas State wins myself. TCU at Iowa State. TCU on the year 5-6, trying to get to a bowl game. Iowa State 6-5. They have a bowl game, but my goodness, don't you know that there were bigger plans for the Iowa State fan base and the players, no matter what Matt Campbell may have said. Craig, Iowa State home against TCU.
I'll take Iowa State, and I don't really need to think about it too much. I mean, if Matt Campbell does not win this game, and then we have to hear, how it's still a successful season because, they're good people, then I'm gonna lose it. But no, I take Iowa State in this game. I think TCU just wants to know who their new head coach is at this point. Jerry Kill's done an admirable job, but I mean, honestly, once they beat Baylor and then turned around and got just mollywopped by Oklahoma State, I mean, all they've been doing is counting down to the end of the season. So, I'll take Iowa State to try and save some, have a good feeling at the end of the year, because it's not going to be what a lot of people thought it could be with a Big 12 championship appearance. But they'll get a nice win and beat the Frogs and go about their business.
Yeah, I'll take Iowa State in this one. I think that I think one of the things that Matt Campbell will be able to do is make sure they're up for this one and focused. And TCU had their moment a couple weeks ago against Baylor. That was their moment. That was their let's get all the emotions out. And then, of course, Chandler Morris, was locked in as anybody could be in that game. So it hasn't happened since then. And Max Duggan's back. I think TCU wins, or not TCU. Iowa State handles TCU pretty well. I mean, based on how they beat teams. I mean, they're not blowing anybody out probably, but Breece Hall probably has a big game, and they win.
Iowa State has been to a bowl game. This will be 5 consecutive years under Matt Campbell, 2017. And, of course, last year a game on the Fiesta Bowl when they beat Oregon 34-17 after losing to Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game. I'll take the Cyclones as well. Now, game will have a pregame 9 o'clock on Saturday morning right here in the studio, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports, a mile from McLean Stadium. Baylor. It appears, although no one has said anything new, but Blake Shapen could start against Texas Tech. And Texas Tech coming off a shutout loss at home against Oklahoma State. I look at this game the same way I looked at TCU, and you guys, I both think, agreed with this. It'd be inexcusable to lose this game unless, barring you just have one of those days. And even then, if you fumble 4 times, throw 2 picks, whatever, that's inexcusable too. I think they should win this game like 30-14.
Yeah, I don't think Texas Tech is a better team in any single area than Baylor is, and you could even, if you wanted to, try and make an argument about Austin McNamara, their punter, because he had a big game. Well, Baylor still got a really good punter too, so that's not even some advantage. And everywhere else you look, I don't know one area where you would take. I mean, outside of maybe you take Eric Izukama as your number one wideout versus Baylor's number one wideout, but then again, Tyquan Thornton's not bad, so. Being at home, being what's on the line, being who this senior class is, being that they have to be well aware of what's riding on this, and it has nothing to do with Joey Maguire or any of that kind of stuff. But if you want to add that in there too, I just think they're a better team all the way around, and they're also at home, and they have something to play for, whereas Tech is just kind of hey, whatever we do from here is pretty good. Hey, we're going to a bowl game, that's great. When does Joey Maguire take over? I mean, so they're 2 programs at 2 really different spots. Baylor's in the spot to win this game, win 10 games, and then go and maybe win an 11th and maybe even a 12th. So I'm taking the Bears.
All right.
And for whatever Joey Maguire can give them game plan this week, I think that'd be. I mean, there might be a significant spot on the radar, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to help them beat Baylor for 4 quarters. I think it'll be maybe they might play a little better than they would had they not had that information.
I don't think there's anything game plan-wise he can do that's going to outsmart Aranda and them. I think it would be terminology or, stuff that's recognizable. I don't think he's going to football X and O.
I mean, in my opinion, if without Joey Maguire, if they were going to play a C+ game, Joey Maguire maybe gets him up to a B-. I mean, that's my opinion on what he can do as far as game plan-wise. There might be some things that they recognize better or Baylor's going to have to change because they know it. But I just think that talent-wise across the board, like Craig said, like Smokey, I mean, it's not even close here. Blake Shapen, I'm completely confident in him. I thought he was probably had the most overall potential of all the 3 guys competing for the starting job. That didn't mean that he had earned it because he wasn't ready yet, but I think that Blake Shapen can show that maybe Baylor can switch out quarterbacks and not lose too much here. I liked what I saw from him last week against a defense that was out to hurt him. I mean, I don't mean in a malicious way, but that's how Kansas State plays. They want to make you know that they hit you, and he wasn't afraid and stepped in really well. Looked like he'd taken first-team reps most of the week. So I think Baylor kind of cruises here and wins over Tech. They know what's in front of them, and I think the Oklahoma game took away their self-doubt. I really do. The way that they played in that Oklahoma game and the way that they played against Kansas State, they didn't play with a lot of doubt. Like, oh my God, something bad happened. It was just like, okay, here we go.
Just keep doing what you do. Forget about the last play. Go to the next one. I gave my prediction on that as well. The series tied 39-39. And won. And, of course, last year was a debilitating loss in Lubbock when they kicked the field goal at the end of the game when Baylor led the game, controlled the game throughout the game, and could not close the game.
Yeah, and Shapen's the wild card. I mean, the only thing that really worries me at all would be for him to go in the game and just throw like 3 picks out of the gate and, have nerves take over or just, make some bad decisions. But I don't know. He seems like a really confident player and seems like he's been kind of ready for this moment. And now it's not as though he's getting thrown into the fire this week, he got an entire half a play last week, so he kind of already got his feet wet and has kind of had the idea in mind, I could start all week long. So I think he's going to be ready for it, and I would expect him to play well.
All right, well, quickly talk about this game, discuss West Virginia at Kansas. Hey, this isn't a given. Kansas, with that win a couple of weeks ago, of course, with Texas, it was so dramatic, and played TCU very well last week. This game is in Lawrence. Kansas is 2-9. That's probably what most people thought they would finish, 2-10 or something like that. They have a chance to get to 3-9. And, of course, West Virginia has a chance to get to a bowl game, so they have a lot on the line here with the game in Lawrence.
I think Kansas is clearly playing better, and I think that's going to continue to grow in the offseason for them, and they're probably not going to be as easy and out in 2022 as they were in 2021, especially as they were in previous years. But I think West Virginia's played well enough down the stretch for me to think this is just their game.
If Neil Brown can't beat Kansas to get bowl eligible, then didn't fire him. I mean, come on. I don't care how much better Kansas is playing or what they've shown, and I do respect Lance Leipold and what they're doing. And, look, I'm not going to rule out that they could, go in there and maybe pull out a win because they're just playing with, just a cool kind of confidence where there's what's there to lose? Like, you're Kansas. I mean, just go out there and play and get better every week when you have an opportunity to, and that's all they're doing. And I think, that can lead to, on any given day, you be jumping up and beating a team. But I will take West Virginia. I mean, they have to win this game to not do so, to not beat the worst team in the conference, to get bowl eligible.
Yeah.
I don't care where it's being played. That would be unforgivable.
That would be possibly, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There could be 8 bowl teams if West Virginia wins and if TCU wins. And, of course, TCU's at Iowa State. Could be 8 bowl teams in the Big 12 with Texas and Kansas the only ones out. But there also could end up being just 7 or 6 bowl teams. Now, Bedlam. Oklahoma leads the series. 90 wins, 18 losses, and 7 ties. It has been one-sided for a long, long time. Oklahoma State on occasion has gotten them. Last year, 41-13, Oklahoma beat OSU in Norman. I across the board, I think Oklahoma State's a better team. I think they're at home. I think that's going to be electric. But, yes, there is something about Oklahoma, even though at times this year they have been mysterious.
The only thing to me that makes me think that Oklahoma could win this thing is the history of the rivalry, the ghost of Sooner Magic past, jumping in and beating Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has really kind of announced themselves as what they are the last few weeks. Even in the Iowa State game, I mean, they're an unfavorable spot away from kicking a field goal, winning that game, and being undefeated right now. So I think Oklahoma State has shown that they are better in almost every aspect of the game when it comes to consistency. Now, I know that Oklahoma can make some big plays, and if they can do what Baylor did to Caleb Williams early, which is he doesn't make a big play in the first quarter or so, then I think he starts feeling like he really is a freshman, and they kind of tug on Superman's cape a little bit there. Then I think they'll be able to control this game. Oklahoma has not been as physical as Oklahoma State all year. Baylor proved that. I think Oklahoma State, dominates this game physically, and while there might be some moments of Sooner magic, I don't think that it's going to be enough, and I think Oklahoma State wins.
Yeah, I'm taking Oklahoma State. I don't need to think about it too much. They have a way better defense against right now, a pretty shaky quarterback who, outside of just some magic tricks and just being able to play off the cuff street ball style, really doesn't have a lot to offer the last couple of games. I mean, when you think about it, he thrives on making those dynamic plays, but Baylor forced him to sit there and have to scan the field and do those types of things, and I expect Oklahoma State's going to do that, but they're going to have even more pressure coming at him. And being in Stillwater with what is on the line and that atmosphere at night, I just think that's going to be just a little bit too much energy in Oklahoma State's favor, and they have the best unit in this entire game with that defense. So I think you split the hairs, and they definitely have the biggest advantage. But I also think that their offense is, makes them a bit more well-rounded than Oklahoma as a complete package does with their three phases. So, yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys, especially at home at night, what's on the line, all that good stuff. And you just hope that, Spencer Sanders doesn't suddenly have, like, an uncharacteristically bad game like he's been known to have in the past, but has been able to pretty much avoid for the most part. There's no reason to not believe that defense, is going to suddenly, like holes are going to pop up all of a sudden because they're playing Oklahoma. Like you said, outside of just tradition, there's not really a whole lot to prevent you from picking Oklahoma State in this game.
All right, let's put it this way. Oklahoma has dominated Baylor ever since they played the first time. And in the last 10 years, Baylor's won 4 times. There are times when Baylor should have beaten Oklahoma, had them dead to rights a couple of times and couldn't do it. Texas leads Baylor 67-26-4. That had nothing. That meant nothing when they played at McLean Stadium when they did 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago. And so it shouldn't mean anything in Stillwater. It's not like Oklahoma is Texas right now, but I do think Oklahoma State, this is their opportunity. If Caleb Williams gets a big play early, and then you go, okay, wait a minute, maybe he had a big play early last week, and they still, they just could not quite get out of their own way sometimes. They just don't have the explosiveness, and they seem to be pretty confused on what they do. They cannot run the ball consistently. I'll take Oklahoma State because they're better. And then again, that's why they play the games. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from longtime junior college transfer and one of the best during that great run that Baylor had in the early parts of the 2010s. Eddie Lackey is going to be honored this weekend for the Baylor game against Texas Tech, and he'll join us next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line. New cars and trucks are coming. New car inventory is low, but GM just announced they'll release a steady flow of vehicles through the fall. Now is the time to get your name on Richard Carr's first in-line priority list and get a car or truck first. Call Richard Carr Motors or go online to discuss cars and trucks in transit today. Go to richardcarr.com for more details.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive. It's a staple of the Waco economy. And you're about to approach this time of the year where you have the holidays, special gifts. It's not that you don't have that every single day. What are some of the things you have coming up?
Christmas is the biggest time of year for engagements. You know, we kind of call ourselves the wedding ring store. We do all of our own custom work in-house. I've got 2 expert jewelers on staff every day. We can make anything from scratch. We kind of pride ourselves, probably 9 out of 10, every engagement ring we do is actually made custom to what the customer wants.
People look at that, oh my God, I can't afford it. I can't afford something like that. You've shown me examples that you could fit pretty much any budget.
It doesn't cost any more to custom make something. You still have gold, you still have diamonds, and you still have labor. Best thing about a custom piece is if you have any old jewelry or heirloom jewelry or something passed down from a grandma or somebody, we can take that jewelry and use it towards your wedding ring for the sentimental value, and then you've got the product, and then it's just a little bit of labor and a little bit of design on your part of what you actually want.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac.
Eddie Lackey, one of those great players that arrived at Baylor University when they were trying to turn the corner, and he helped them do that. Joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and also 365 Sports, former Baylor linebacker, being honored this weekend during the Baylor and Texas Tech game Saturday at McLean Stadium. The B Association recognizing you as a football legend. What does that mean to you?
Man, well, I don't really know what to say. I'm very honored for one, but yeah, I definitely an exclusive fraternity there of other guys that are, you know, honored in the past, and one of those being one of my best friends, Bryce Petty, a couple weekends ago. So, you know, to be in that same category as them, I'm just incredibly honored.
Eddie, your journey to Baylor, you know, out of Riverside Community College was, you know, not the conventional one, I guess. And when did Baylor actually come on your radar to come there? Because it was not your first choice when you were thinking about where you were going to go and finish out your eligibility.
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. I was sitting in I want to say it was some kind of health class back in junior college, and I get a text. Not that I should be sitting on my phone in a class, but I got a text from my coach, actually Darren Cheverini, the offense coordinator at Colorado right now, and he was head of the recruiting and everything at Riverside City College, and he said, "Hey, you're going to get a text or a call from you know, a 254 number. That's a Waco number. That's Baylor University. They said that they're going to offer you." So I was super excited, but ironically, I had no idea where Baylor was. I didn't know what conference it was in. I really hate to say that, but I pulled it up on my phone, and I had to type in Baylor University, go to the website, go to the athletics page, and sure enough, I scroll down. I'm like, man, Big 12. I hadn't had a Power 5, you know, offer at the time. So that was my first Power 5, and I started to get excited knowing that it was, you know, in Texas and all of these things. And, you know, at that point, I just, you know, I couldn't stop looking up things about Baylor, and Robert was getting all the Heisman, you know, craze, and it was before the Texas game that year in 2011. And so all that to be said, it just, you know, when I talked to Coach Bennett and Coach Gush that same night, I just got real excited. And, you know, I was on with you guys before, and I told you my whole story with Coach Aranda, and I was committed to Coach Aranda at the time going to Hawaii. So I had to give him a call and say, hey, I think I've got to follow my heart here and at least give it a chance to go see Baylor. And once I went to Baylor and went on that visit and everything, I fell in love with everything about it. So that's really what pulled me in, you know, just when I got to the university and toured the campus and all of those things. I mean, I had other offers that came in after, but I was fully sold on going to Baylor at that point.
What a small world, right? I mean, less than 10 years later, and, here's Dave Aranda as head coach at Baylor. It's kind of crazy how things work out. And I have to ask you, I mean, he's already opened up a lot more from just a year ago. He is definitely, just his personality, I think, has shined a lot more. And what was it like to talk to him, though, back then as, still, I would imagine, a pretty shy, kind of reserved assistant coach?
Oh, my gosh. He's back at that point, he was actually, I swore he was Hawaiian, just the way that he spoke. Every other word was, bro, I can't wait to have you, bro. Every third word was bro. And it was like, I felt like I was being welcomed into the, the Hawaiian community, and I was getting all excited, and, that was his cool and calm temper and demeanor. And, you never got a rise in his voice, really talking to him. It was real calm. And it made you feel like you wanted to come out there and, go hit the waves with him, go surfing or something, just the way that he had that calm, that calming, conversational tone. So, yeah, but he's definitely, watching some of his interviews and listening, to him, it's no different, from 10 years ago when I was being recruited by him.
Calm, conversational tone is the opposite of Phil Bennett.
Yeah.
What is do you have a favorite Phil Bennett moment? I know we don't have 5 hours because you could go on forever. We've had him on. He was a weekly guest with us last year and parts of this year until he took the job at North Texas, and they're trying to get bowl eligible. But your thoughts about do you have a favorite Eddie Lackey, Phil Bennett moment?
Oh boy. Yeah, it would probably be, it's a hard choice. There's two, but I would have to go with ULM in 2012 when we were there. And so he'll tell this story forever. And, we're friends on Facebook, and every time we meet up for lunch or something like that, he's got to bring it up. And Coach Gush is the same way. And so I had a lot of moments in that game where, I banged my head around a little bit. And there was a blitz that we ran. It was a pop blitz, and it was it was just into the B gap. And I was supposed to, stop a goal line play with their quarterback at that time. And I came in at a terrible angle, and we basically went helmet to helmet, and, not saying that we shouldn't, keep the safety of players at the forefront, but I come off the field, and I had already had a couple tackles in that game where I had just hit my head a couple times, and I'm sitting there, and Coach Bennett is just letting me have it. He said it a couple times. Some of his go-to lines were something along the lines of, "Oh, I wish we never recruited you," or "I'm going to send you back to California." But you can imagine there's a couple of expletives in there, in between all of that.
No, don't.
And but he just, he's going off, and I look up at him and Coach Gush, and I said, "Coach, I'm dizzy. I'm dizzy right now." And they both looked at each other and looked back at me and said, "Dizzy? You're making me dizzy," and just couldn't stop. They just caught me. It caught them so off guard that I said that, and I'd never heard the end of it. I still don't hear the end of that, and so I get asked every time. Coach Bennett last night wrote on my Facebook, and I posted about I just reshared my award, and Bennett was like, "Are you feeling dizzy, or are you doing okay, Eddie?" So,
yeah, and we do understand the seriousness of concussions. We're laughing at the moment and all that kind of stuff. But,
yeah.
Eddie Lackey is going to be honored by the B Association at Baylor's game on Saturday against Texas Tech.
Eddie, what do you think of the linebackers that Baylor has going right now?
Man, how about them? They fly around. I mean, it's a really fun thing to see, and schematically, it's fun to watch, and they I know that just across the board, especially Terrell Bernard and Dylan Doyle, and the whole group as a whole, they fly around, and very assignment sound in how they approach each game, and you can tell that they're dialed in. But it's just fun because they're playmakers, and they find a way to make a play, and that's what I feel like. That's what separates the good from great teams and good from great players. The guys that can find a way to make a play when you need it, and they do that. You see those guys, somehow getting through a couple different blocks, shedding a couple of different blocks to make a big sack on third down. And, that's an incredible thing to, set up your offense, when you can make plays like that or come up with a turnover. So, just across the board, they are an awesome unit. And, I've been very impressed.
Eddie, you're living in Abilene right now?
I am, yes.
So is there a lot of talk about Abilene's Abram Smith around town and what he's doing right now? Have you had any conversations in passing by any chance, given his time there, growing up there, and what he's doing right now in Waco?
Oh, yeah. I actually, matter of fact, just got my hair cut, and there's some people talking about Abram in there and saying that they went to high school at Abilene High, and I'm wearing a Baylor hoodie right now, so it's a hot topic here in Abilene. I mean, people that have never followed Baylor are turning on Baylor games that want to watch Abram, and for a very good reason. He's an exciting player to watch, and Abilene as a community, they're loving it, and I run into people all the time. Anytime I'm wearing something Baylor, I feel like they're not talking about me, or they don't. There's no connection there. My time has came and gone, and it's been a long time. But they always bring up Abram, and he's a legend here in Abilene. I would say at this point, there's a lot of people chattering about him, and rightfully so.
There's always something was meant to be, or there's ways that past journeys are hit fork road. Paul mentioned a little bit about your recruitment and all that. You mentioned that as well. What did coming to Baylor end up meaning to you as a person?
I don't even know where to begin with that. I think my first and foremost would be my faith. And I think that's what Baylor did for me is made me a man of faith. And gosh, I met my wife there, and it just set the stage for my life. And, with business and everything, the journey has taken me to where I'm at. And I can't see that, if I would have gone anywhere else. Like it made so much sense. It makes so much sense after the fact, that Baylor was just the right place for me and all the people that were in my corner. And, it did so much for my life, and it continues to do that, moving forward. And I get asked about it all the time, and I can't say enough good things about Baylor University.
All right. Well, we can't let you go without jumping into this bodybuilding thing, Eddie.
Oh no!
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, we have to talk about it. Look, you transformed and all that. I have a couple questions. One, how did it get started? Are you still doing it? And three, how long do you have to spray tan to get that coloration?
A very long time, a whole week. No. So I do different challenges, and I'm a little competitive, as you might imagine. And every year, kind of since I've been done playing football, I've kind of wanted to do a different challenge each year. And my wife swears it's every time we have another baby, and she's pregnant and I'm training for something. But last time it was a marathon I was training for and doing a bunch of Spartan races. This time was a bodybuilding show, and it's not something I want to do long term. It was just I trained for 6 months for it, and it was the most terrible thing of my life. It was terrible. And to think that I was at my most at Baylor, I was at 230. You want to know what I went down to when I stepped on the stage for that show? I was 181 pounds. Jeez. And it's just crazy what those guys that do that as a career, what they go through. And talk about no energy. You're just lethargic. You're trying to just get through the day. And I can't do that. I mean, that was just something I wanted to be able to get a picture of and see me at my absolute best physique I could have. And, I did something, it's called men's physique. So it's with board shorts and all that. You don't have the whole mankini situation going on and, all that fun stuff. But, which also I didn't have to worry about the legs. So that was kind of nice, but all that to be said, it was just a challenge, that I wanted to take part in. And, I didn't place like I wanted to or anything, but it was still something to be proud of for me. So, yep.
What was the first thing you ate afterwards?
I was going to say, how much did you eat? Like a couple of double cheeseburgers from Whataburger or what? Yeah.
Talk about full circle. It was funny. I got a call from Coach Bennett right after that show, and the show was in College Station. And, this was before the season had started and everything. And he gave me a call, and he's like, "What are you doing to yourself?" And he's like, "You want to?" He wanted to go get dinner, and I told him, the one thing that I've been dying to have over this whole time, this 6 months of training, is a barbecue chicken pizza from BJ's. And I wanted the Suzuki, the whole thing, chips and salsa. So he met up with me and a few other guys, and we went to BJ's, and I crushed an entire pizza. But your body can only handle so much when you've only been eating like 1,300 calories every day for the last 6 weeks before that. So it wasn't as good of a time as I thought it would be afterwards.
Former Baylor linebacker Eddie Lackey honored Saturday during the Texas Tech game with us on 365 Sports.
Well, that's cool that you did it and you got that experience, and now and you can cross that off the list or whatever. But that's cool. You did all that and put all that work in. Eddie, with it being Texas Tech, I have to ask you about your first game against Texas Tech. It was a wild one. Like, looking back at just the box score for that game, overtime, you had 2 picks in the fourth quarter, a pick 6 right at the beginning to give you guys the lead, and then a pick later on. It ended up resulting in a missed field goal, and you guys went to OT. But just what do you remember about that game? Remember about your 2 picks there in the fourth quarter and going to overtime and eventually pulling out a big win, 52-45.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of games at Baylor, it's hard for me to not think that was one of my best games. Tackling wise, I didn't do that great, but as funny as it sounds, I don't do this all the time, but I pulled it up on, they've got all the recordings on YouTube. I pulled that game up last night, and my wife Cassidy wanted to see it. I don't think we had really sat down to see, watch that game before, and it gave me some brownie points with her too. So I thought I'd pull it up, but it was, that was also special to me too, because my former teammates at the junior college at Riverside City College were, there was a few of them on that team that I had just played with the season before. So that was the first time we were matching up against each other. Darren Cheverini, who was my coach at the junior college, was their special teams coordinator there. So the whole thing, it was just like, it was fun that I was able to have a game like that against them, and be able to talk a little smack after the game too. But it was definitely a wild finish, and winning in overtime was, that was a whole experience in itself. But I think that was probably my best game that I've ever had. I had a fumble recovery in that game too. And just as far as turnovers, I had 3 turnovers in that game. So I had a lot of, I had a couple of my friends, on the other team that were a little bitter, but one was just like, man, why'd you have to do that? And, we had to have a long conversation the next morning. So it was, it was a good time. 26
starts every game at Baylor, a part of the junior college group that came in under Phil Bennett at defensive coordinator, along with KJ Morton, Joe Williams, among some others as well, that helped turn that team around and start to get enough stops on defense, and then got to a point in 2012 where they upset number 1 ranked Kansas State and turned their season around. Eddie, congratulations, man. We'll be there. Looking forward to it. Enjoy the moment, okay?
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you.
You too. Great always hearing from
right.
Eddie Lackey, now living in Abilene, as he mentioned, former Baylor linebacker, 2-time All Big 12 linebacker, and Dave Aranda was recruiting him.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. That's a small world that Aranda was recruiting him, and, a decade later, Eddie's getting honored, and Dave Aranda's the head coach, and It's against Texas Tech, who Eddie had his, like he just said, his best game probably ever against. And Aranda was at Tech, and there's a lot of crossovers here. So it's kind of wild, but very cool that all that's kind of coming together to make this game even that much more interesting. Just behind the scenes and off the field. But man, there's a lot of interesting storylines on it as well, and be cool that Eddie's there. I'm sure he'll get a big ovation, and hopefully it'll be a big crowd, and hopefully it'll be a great game. Looking forward to it.
How many recruits do you think that Aranda calls bro now?
Yeah. Hey, bro.
Yeah.
I got to ask him about that.
I think it's more like brah, in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I have no idea. And Eddie said he's kind of the same way, but I definitely feel like he's opened up a bit. And it's been cool to see that transformation as well. But, very small world.
We're going to hear from Jaron McVay, safety for Baylor, here at one of the media sessions leading up to the game on Saturday against Texas Tech. Speaking of the game Saturday, to close it out, this segment with this. First time at McLean Stadium, Baylor Athletics opening up sections 117 through 129 to the general public, hosting Texas Tech in the Texas Farm Bureau Insurance Shootout. McLean Stadium is opening up seats. Ticket prices start at $35. You sit right behind the student section, which is right there down behind the visiting bench. You can go to BaylorBears.com for more information. All right, coming up next, Jaron McVay played in that Kansas State game where the Baylor defense just turned them upside down, and now it's Texas Tech. That's next, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. There's a lot of conversation about what Blake Shapen did to come in for Gary Bohannon at quarterback when Bohannon went down with the hamstring injury. And, of course, he earned all of that notice and the stories and also the highlights of what he did. But there's a couple of other guys that played last week because others were injured, including safety Jaron McVay. I can't remember the game last year because there was only 2 wins. It was Kansas State and Kansas. I think it was the Kansas State game at home, and Jaron McVay made a huge play in that game. Again, playing because somebody else was hurt, but he plays a lot, special teams and more. He had 3 tackles in the win against Kansas State last week, and he was available for the week this week as Baylor gets ready for Texas Tech.
Jaron, obviously a huge game this week. Kind of what's the attitude out there? Are y'all ready for this big moment?
Yeah, it was a huge game, huge momentum builder, but we've kind of put that beside us now. It's already Tuesday, so we're looking ahead to Tech, of what's next mentality. So we're focusing in on Tech for 11 a.m. kickoff. So yeah.
Jaron, you were kind of put in a difficult spot, I guess. I mean, probably one you wanted, but with Christian out, you I think got the start back there. What was that like? And obviously, you've been in that position before. Yeah,
it was amazing. Hopefully Christian can get back soon, but coming in there to help the team win, it was big for me, and I feel like I made some plays to help the team win, so yeah.
You're one of the seniors that'll be recognized Saturday. You've been here 6 years.
6 years, yeah.
Is it? I guess, will that be emotional? You've kind of already gone through it, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be emotional, my last time in McLean, last home game for Baylor football. So it's going to be emotional, but I'm going to try to put those emotions to the side, feel them and then put them to the side and, do what we have to do to get a win.
Jalen was named a Thorpe Award finalist today. What does he bring the team? What do you see from him?
Man, he's just an amazing teammate. The work he puts in after practice, before practice, the film study, the text messages. And he's not just a football – he's a great football guy, but he's a great friend, too, outside of football. So, he's funny. He likes to mess around. He's not just a brickhead who just only talks about football. So he's a great teammate to have.
Well, why do you think he's so good in that position? It seems like he's just really kind of flowered since he's played there.
Yeah, I'd say his work ethic and his preparation. Everyone sees him making plays and balling on Saturdays, but his preparation is second to none. So that's what sets him apart from other people.
Jaron, I guess just when you think about your time, you've kind of gone through everything. What's going to be the lasting memory for you at Baylor as a Bear, that kind of thing?
All my teammates, man. Everyone who I've had over the 6 years, just amazing people, amazing relationships. So that's probably my best part about Baylor is the people, the coaches that I've met, the teachers on campus. Everyone here has been great. So,
what do you see from Tech's offense?
Spread offense. They like to take deep shots. So we got to be prepared for that, the passing game. So yeah, they're going to try to spread us out wide and take shots and run zone read. So we're going to be ready for them.
there any difficulty in preparing for a team that could, at this point, it seems like throw out any of three quarterbacks who are really drastically different in the way they play?
Yeah, they do have multiple quarterbacks that have started for them. So we're kind of preparing a little bit for each one, so we're not caught off guard. So we're gonna make sure that we check all the boxes in that regard.
Obviously, you guys are pretty good already about just focusing on yourself, but is it still nice that the other game of importance on the weekend is a little bit later? So
Right.
Win, and then you can maybe watch a little.
Yeah, that's a nice little thing to have. So yeah, but we're focused on 11 a.m. So after that, then I'll be excited to watch that game. So
Yeah, you guys have gotten a really good pass rush. It's definitely the last half of the season has really come through. How has that helped everybody on defense?
Yeah, it's helped a lot. When the quarterback has big guys in his face, just chunking the ball up, lets us go and play the ball. So it's amazing having great pass rush, and they're great against the run too.
Right.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword for us. We can kind of bully quarterbacks. We kind of bullied Skylar Thompson that game and make them throw it up. So it's nice.
Obviously, it wasn't exactly a position group, but having been here with him for 5 years, was it going to be weird seeing Joey on the other sideline?
Yeah, it will be weird, but he's a great coach, great guy. So I'll make sure I give him a hug after the game. So yeah.
Anything else for James? Thanks, Jared.
Thanks, Jared.
All right, thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey guys, sports betting season is in full force with football season entrenched and the NBA and NHL underway and the Major League Baseball playoffs. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity like BetUS.com. BetUS has been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That's BetUS.com, and they have loads of bonuses like ours at BetUS.com. 125% bonus on promo code SICK'EM125 or a 200% bonus if you use crypto on promo code SICK'EM200. BetUS, known as America's favorite sportsbook. NFL, college football, MLB, UFC, PGA golf. They've got it all at BetUS.com. So go to BetUS.com today and use promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200. That's BetUS.com, promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Baylor National Championship head coach Scott Drew with a Sikkim 365 Radio 365 Sports. First of all, I'm watching these pictures from you guys in the Bahamas at dinner on Oceanside. Wow, how glorious is it right now?
Well, I can tell you there's a reason people vacation here, right? So, but we got in the day early so that we could do that stuff, and then now it's a business. It's a business trip, and we'll lock in. And we've had success in the past on tournaments because we treat them as business trips, and we'll do the same. We won the Battle Atlantis before, and have a chance to be one of only us in Villanova with a chance to repeat. They're the only team that's repeated championship here.
That would be awesome. Now, there's so many of these, like, holiday-type tournaments around Thanksgiving or Christmas. How do you juggle an occasion, how you pick and choose which one you want to go to? Or is it the invitation and then you say yes?
Well, normally, Battle for Atlantis and Maui Invitational are prestigiously the two best tournaments. And with that, what makes a good tournament is competition. And you look at this year is no exception. I mean, you got Arizona State, who's had a lot of injuries early on. They're getting people healthy now. You got Auburn, Syracuse, UConn. I mean, you can just go up and down the list of Michigan State, all of the teams. Last time we were here, we beat VCU in the first round, and it was a real close game. And VCU is a great program, as is Loyola. So great competition, great TV exposure. And obviously, Atlantis is a great place for our players to experience.
Absolutely, boat race Stanford. I know that's been the rearview mirror, but defensively, how you squeeze them in the second half. How impressed were you, and is that the kind of ball that Baylor's now getting used to playing all the time?
Well, it's hard to beat anybody by 40, let alone a Power 5 team. So I think a perfect storm for us. We really not only defended well in the second half, but we got some turnovers that got us out in transition. And then we finished at a high rate, which got the crowd involved. And then you get that perfect storm. Stanford was a younger team, so being on the road, it's a little tougher to overcome that when you get the crowd and the home team playing like we were. So here, Battle for Atlantis, everybody brings good crowds, and it's a ballroom, which is a different shooting venue and a different setup, and something that is unique to here. And I remember the last time we were here, we didn't really shoot it that well. So today we'll do a lot of shooting because we get the court one time before the game. Hopefully that pays off tomorrow.
Now, is Kendall Brown even further ahead than you might have thought he would be?
Yeah, I think Kendall and Jeremy and Langston before he got injured, because of first of all, their makeup as players. They know who they are. They know to play to their strengths. They don't try to do too much, and because they can play within their role, that allows them to play earlier. Normally, freshmen that might not know their game as well, they might take bad shots. They might not defend all the time, but those guys have been coached. They've come from great programs, from Lackey, from Sunrise, Christian, Mount Verge. So, I mean, they played high level and been coached and been in games where you have other great players around you, so you need to play to your strengths and just not try to do everything.
So, Arizona State tomorrow night, your thoughts about the Sun Devils? You've played them before, but it's been a while.
Yeah, we played them in, and it was a great tournament in California, the Wooden tournament out there, and that was when they had James Harden, and that was a great win. We played him in the NIT before, but with Coach Hurley, he's done a great job of bringing in players that can get their own shot and really explosive offensively. And it's one of those teams you can play good defense and they can make shots. So it's a team that gets on runs and they can be streaky. So it's real important that we start out fast and make it as tough as possible because it's a team that in spurts and runs.
You have players from last year's team who are back. There's obvious names. But when do you find out about who the leaders might be? Who's the crunch time guy? Will that take time, and especially with what you're about to face?
Well, I think definitely that's why you play these kind of tournaments, because they prepare you for Big 12 basketball. They prepare you for your games coming up with Villanova and Oregon. And at the end of the day, because we've had some injuries, really it affected us with our chemistry rotations and just being able to figure that stuff out in October. And still Adam, we're trying to get back in a flow where he's able to practice and play all the time. And then once that happens, knock on wood, we don't have any other injuries. We'll be able to figure out closing lineups and who performs well and best in crunch time with who. But until that time, it's putting things together. And the good thing is, hopefully, you keep that margin of victory pretty big, so it doesn't come down to one possession, because anything can happen in one possession, as we know.
I thought your message to Dickie V on social media was really cool. Whose idea was that?
It's probably just a team thing. So I know he's done a lot with the Baylor Bears, and I remember when we played at Florida and we were ranked number 1, and he talked to the guys and gave them a great talk, and we beat Florida, and I think that was our first win, being ranked number 1. And really appreciate everything he's done for college basketball and the serving he's in and everything he's done in the cancer world and the fight against cancer.
Hey, one more thing, Scott. You talked about it's obviously a beautiful place. The pictures are unbelievable, but it's a business trip. Is that sometimes hard to make it a business trip when everything around you is so beautiful?
Actually, I think that's one of the strengths of our team and our staff. We've had a lot of success in these tournaments, and I think it starts with the players our coaches bring in. They're guys that respect the team, value the team, and don't want to let the team down. So very focused, and they're here to play well and represent Baylor in a positive way. And a lot of times you go to tournaments and see guys at the pool, you see guys, we have a casino here, you'll see them at the casino, and our guys are mostly in the room resting, stretching, and doing what they need to do, and I think we've been successful because of that.
Hey, how about Baylor football? 9-2 with Dave Aranda. How often do you get a chance to visit with him at all?
Well, I after wins, I usually text him. He's unbelievable at getting back to people, but obviously I know how busy he is. So proud of him and the team, and he's established a great culture. They're fun to watch, but you just love how they all play for each other, and they're about the right thing. It's a great culture in a short period of time. I'm so happy for him and the way they represent Baylor University.
And your team as well, Scott. Thank you. Enjoy the trip and come back with some wins. Thanks for your time. Scott Drew, Baylor men's basketball
Hey, if you get a chance, you're always welcome to join.
Well, hey, I think I need to make that happen next year. Wherever you guys go, Maui, Bahamas. My goodness. I talked to Lauren Smith, Mac's assistant, earlier today, and she told me she was in the Bahamas. I said, oh, my God, that's awesome. That's awesome that she's there. Yeah.
We got to get that done. We got to get that done with you in the future. All right.
Thank you, buddy. Good luck. Scott Drew on 365 Sports.
At Allen Samuelson Waco, we're celebrating the Black Friday sales event. Ram, bringing the first truck brand to take the top spot overall in new vehicle initial quality by J.D. Power. With a new 2021 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star, you can get total values up to $7,250 or 2.9% for 72 months, plus $2,000 in bonus cash. All first responders get an extra $500 and no payment for 90 days at Allen Samuelson Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness continues to add more weapons to your getting or staying in shape arsenal with 8 brand new treadmills ready for you to run or walk a mile or 2 or 10. And with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman with more courts available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available, their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Everywhere you look, there's energy, passion, and commitment. New touchless water fountains outside of each locker room, and all the locker rooms with showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts with a youth academy led by pro Britt Coleman. Fitness and tennis merchandise available and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
The secret to living your best life is pizza, obviously. Golden crust made from scratch, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and the toppings, crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, bacon. That's called a dream team. Find everything you need to live your best life and more at Marco's Pizza. Owner Bob Mock has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
They go to the eye. Play action. Bohannon back in the end zone. And a touchdown for Baylor. Drake Dabney's second catch of the drive, and it's good for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson, investing his time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Baylor and Texas Tech Saturday, 11 o'clock kick. Baylor's been really good at home, and they've been really good in 11 o'clock games at home. And they host Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, in a series that's 39-1 all time, with last year Texas Tech winning in Lubbock on a last-second field goal. Dave Aranda grinding this team into position, putting them in position to maybe get to a Big 12 championship game. But whatever happens in Bedlam doesn't matter if they don't take care of business against Texas Tech, as they did last week against Kansas State.
It's good to see you guys. Going through the tape, a lot of positive things. On defense, really stood out. Probably our best game to date in terms of alignment and technique, and effort to the ball and tackling. Just so impressed with our coaches and our players playing this well this late in the year. It's a credit to their willingness to learn and grow, and the coaches, their willingness to continue to see people, and hear people and value people, and really work to bring out the best in them. And so way proud of that. I thought offensively there's a lot of battling through just it's been a long season, just injuries and bruises and things that kind of come along with playing football, and guys were pushing through. I thought the effort and the sacrifice was clearly out on the table, and guys playing green for their teammates was inspiring, and I thought the adjustments that were made on offense, I think, allowed some scoring drives to take place, because I thought Kansas State really had a good plan. And so, the chess match and on that part of it, I thought was very detailed. We're way down the rabbit hole on that one. And so a lot of positive things, coming out of that, assessing the team. I think every Sunday you got yourself a brand new team in terms of energy and in terms of mindset, in terms of health. And so really looking forward to attacking this week. Sonny Cumbie, when I was at Texas Tech as a grad assistant, and Sonny, for my 3 years I was there, he was our scout team quarterback, and I ran the scout team on offense for our offense, or for our defense rather. And so I had the scout team offense, and Sonny was my guy, man. And so just all the meetings. I remember some of the stories and just the weird things I say now, I would say to him then, and he would, kind of take it in, and no facial expressions, and after a while he'd heard them, before and everything. And so Sonny's one of my favorite all-time guys. And after I left, to see him have success when he finally got his opportunity is so cool. And it's crazy that I'm gonna see him on the other sideline like this, but excited for him. They're a dangerous team, a lot of talent, and their effort has been good. Sonny's got them playing hard. So, with that, any questions?
John Werner, Waco Trip. Dave, obviously it's a little different kind of week. Joey was on your staff, until a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Does that present an extra challenge? Will y'all have to change anything as far as signals and that kind of thing?
I think defensively, we're just going to be careful just with our signals. But really, outside of that, it's the opponent that's right in front of us. It's the things that we've put on tape. I think, offensively, Tech has shown that they're interested in opponent film, and if there's weaknesses, they attack it, and if there's things that have hurt you in the past, they notice it. And so I think that's a big part going into this game. I think continuing to block out the noise and keep the outside on the outside, and focus on developing the inside, and controlling the stuff you can control. I think there's a further test with all of that this week. And, I think our ability to take the next step as a defense is doing that consistently, right? Is not relying on externals. And so I see that as really being the focus.
Curtis Quillen, KCEN. Coach, obviously you guys are one of two teams still vying for that second Big 12 championship game spot. What's the conversation like in the locker room in regard to that opportunity?
Don't really talk about it. I know that guys are going to acknowledge it, I'm sure. And I think, with Thanksgiving coming up, there's going to be family and friends, and I'm sure they're going to bring it up. But I think from our end, there's parts of that we don't control. I think, or I know what we do control is our effort and our mindset and our focus on Saturday morning. And I think much like the previous talk, for us to take the next step, it's to come out Saturday and be at our best, right? With not an eye towards what's happening later in the day, not an eye to looking back to maybe, hey, that Thursday dinner with the family was great, but to be totally in the present and totally connected, playing your best football. And I think it's easier said than done. And so I think we took a big step forward with our approach in our game this past Saturday. We're going to have to do it again.
Bryce Cherry, Waco Trib. Dave, kind of a two-parter here. Gary, obviously, got hurt the other day. What's just kind of the update on him? And then along with that, you mentioned the offensive adjustments that y'all made the other day. If it's Blake out there at quarterback, do y'all tweak things offensively to maybe more tailor it to what he does best?
No, I appreciate that. Gary right now is still day to day. I think he is getting treatment as we speak, and was up here most of yesterday doing that. And so I just know in talking to him, there's probably not going to be someone more determined to get back than him. And I think his Saturday evening there, his heart was broke, and so he's working really hard to come back. And if I were to bet, I'd bet on Gary. And then I think offensively, I think so much of it depends on the run game and how the run game goes. If the run game is going, it's going to open up play action pass, and it's going to open up opportunities to throw, particularly the deep ball, which both Gary and Blake have a good knack for. If the run game is not going, and there's not passes that are easy completions out there, then it's a matter of for Gary, it's getting him out of the pocket. For Blake, it may be chipping, max protect, and getting guys out late, and working mismatches or one-on-one matchups. So there is a little bit of a difference, but I think that is kind of down the line. It starts with getting the run game going, and by us doing what we can do, what things open up on their end that we can take advantage of.
Coach, Texas Tech has used 4 different quarterbacks so far this season. Obviously, Tyler Shuck's the one that won't be available. But how do you prepare when you could see any number of 3 QBs back there on Saturday?
I appreciate the question. I think there is a difference. I think there are different styles. I think particularly on Saturday, the ability to scramble and the ability to make plays when plays are broken down, I think really stands out, along with a really strong arm. And so some of the things that we've dealt with in the past on defense, keeping people in the pocket, right, and having integrity in our coverage, right, where we're tight on coverage and our eyes are not in the backfield and we're leaving guys alone. There was some of that creeping in on Saturday in our game. But improvements have been made there, and an emphasis surely has been made. I think for us, in playing Tech, they do a great job of seeing your weaknesses and really having a plan to attack those. And if there's things that you've put on tape that have hurt you, they're gonna notice it, and they're gonna pull it out, and you can bet you're gonna see it. And so there is an element of our self-scouts, way important. And addressing the things that are on the tape there, and that's really going to be our focus. And with pass rush contain, with tighter scramble, plaster rules, with the ability to tackle and get off on third down, those things are the process of accomplishing those things. we feel are going to handle Texas Tech and what they're going to show us Saturday.
Hey, Coach, Jack Allen, 25 ABC in Waco. I'm just wondering, you touched on it a little bit, but how much does this week being Thanksgiving just change the practice schedule? What are y'all doing different this week just with that in mind?
No, appreciate that. Yeah, the schedules will stay the same, and so we will continue to practice at the same time, with the exception of Thursday. Thursday we'll practice in the morning so that we can get our guys home for their families for Thanksgiving dinner, and then Friday start a little bit late so that they can get on back and we can get in our routine. And so from now till Thursday, kind of a similar plan. But always excited to be practicing on Thanksgiving. It reminds me of being in high school, and when you were playing on or practicing on Thanksgiving morning, it meant you're having a pretty good season. It's a little bit different in college, but I think the guys still think of it that way, and those practices in the morning generally are fun. So looking forward to that.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Dave, what's your plan, or how will you treat this as senior day, or are y'all honoring those guys? And particularly with the COVID and stuff, how does that affect everything? I guess?
Yeah, have their families down there to recognize those guys. I think we've talked about it in here. Just the number of them, the amount of them that could have left, the amount of to go from a coach that was way one way to a coach that's way the other way. To go from winning to losing, to go from I don't understand what he's saying to maybe a little bit understanding, and to go through however many different coaches, is all asking a lot. And I just so appreciate this group, and the focus on who they are as people. I mean, they're great people. But to focus on it when maybe you haven't been asked to focus on it, and what does this have to do with football? When we're looking at ourselves and how we handle circumstance, and how we handle temperament and everything. It takes a lot of trust. So I appreciate that so much. I see that, and it's going to be some of them have been around for a while, so I'm sure they want to get going. It's going to be sad to see them go.
Garrett Ross, Bears Illustrated. Dave, over the past couple of weeks, the recruiting battle between Baylor and Texas Tech has really started to heat up. How important is this game from a recruiting perspective, especially for the 2023 and 2024 classes?
Yeah, I always think, things like that, we're always going to do our due diligence on getting to know our people and showing them who we are, and showing them what makes Baylor Baylor, and it's really making the point that it's bigger than football. And I think that's a message that is going to resonate with some folks, and then for others it may not. And I think that's okay. I think the football game gives us an opportunity to show who we are, right? There's a call that's made. Maybe we don't agree with the call. How do we handle that on the sideline? There's a push or a shove where we could retaliate and do this or do that, and we choose the right thing not to do it. When we celebrate as a team. When there is a big play on the far hash, our sideline's going crazy, right, for their brother that's on the field. When something bad happens, guys are picking each other up and finding the guy that made the mistake, knowing that he did not intentionally try to make the mistake, right, and show me, hey, that's something that you did. It's not who you are. Let's go. We got you. And so I think it's an opportunity to show all of that. And I think the more you put that out in people, I think they'll know what's real and what's not.
Okay, guys, last question.
Dave, excuse me, Jalen Petrie's gone from a good player to an all-Big 12 player the last 2 years. How have you seen him grow?
I think a lot. Yeah. So Jalen, so he has matured his playing style to fit the scheme. And I think it's difficult to do that, because I think when you're on a team, you have to take a little bit of yourself and sacrifice it for the team. And it's hard to do, especially when, there's a fair amount of tape from last year where if Jalen didn't make a play, there probably wasn't no one that was, and he's not only trying to make a play, he's trying to score, because there's probably no one else that's going to do that either. And so I think going through a whole year like that, I think most people, naturally just being people are going to think like that. Then to go through a year that validates that, and then to come on a team where now that type of belief or behavior could possibly hurt the team, and recognize that and work to change that and be you but align with us is way strong, man. And it speaks to his maturity and his growth, and I think it takes someone special to kind of go through all of that. It's easier to just pretend not to see that and just do your thing and then get out. So appreciate Jalen. Thank you, guys.
It's time for some high school football. Berg Colgan Ford proudly celebrates the Panthers, Cadets, Lions, and all the Central Texas football teams as they march their way through the season and down the field. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgan Ford. We'd love to show you our Broncos, Raptors, and Mustangs. These vehicles are winners with their sporty options and designs. Nominate who you think deserves the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week at FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com. Visit us anytime at BKFord.com, making buying your next Ford simple at BK Ford.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links, and you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strip, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full-service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Sikkim 365 Radio. John Machota of The Athletic joins us now to talk Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. John, first off, that was an abysmal performance by the offense on Sunday against the Chiefs. I get the feeling with this team that those aren't going to be frequent, but it's 2 of the last 3 weeks, and there's got to be some cause for concern, even with the injuries they were dealing with.
For sure. Even with the injuries they're dealing with, I don't think that Dak Prescott-led Cowboys offense should ever be held an entire game without a single touchdown. And a single touchdown could have been the spark. If they could have just had one touchdown drive somewhere in the second half, that might have been the spark that could have caused them to win that game, because the defense was doing everything it could to just keep them in it. But I mean, yeah, the offensive line was beat up. Obviously, you don't have Tyron Smith, and that's a big blow to the rest of the line. And then wide receivers were dropping passes that were catchable, and then Dak was throwing a lot of passes that weren't typical Dak throws. So I hate to put too much on one play, but man, watching, I watched the first 2 series from down like field level, not field level, but in the lower bowl. And man, when he missed that throw to Gallup on the first play from scrimmage after the DB fell down, I was like, well, that's probably not great considering you just took the ball and obviously you wanted to go down and score. But I thought the offense would eventually get cooked in the second half, and it never happened. But even with all the injuries, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. I don't care what team you're playing, not to score a single touchdown.
Yeah, it's not. Look, the Amari Cooper absence was huge. They're not going to have him on Thursday against the Raiders. How has that played with the team, with Amari Cooper not being there? And I'm not really talking about the players. They'll have their own thing. But Jerry Jones, the ownership, the leadership of the team, Amari Cooper not being vaccinated and getting sick.
Yeah, Jerry Jones was he had an interesting comment this morning on his normal radio show that he does Tuesday mornings in Dallas, and you could tell he wasn't too thrilled about it. Not because of Amari's choice that he didn't want the vaccine, more so the fact of like not getting the vaccine impacts the team. It's a decision that it's a team thing, and I just. He called it. I can't remember the exact word he used, but I mean, he said it was a significant blow to not have Amari out there, and he was pretty adamant in a Jerry Jones adamant way. I think most people, if they're frustrated in those situations, I think their response would be a couple sentences, but Jerry's was a longer, like 40 sentence type thing. But if you know Jerry speak, he was not pleased by Amari Cooper's choice. But then again, also knowing Jerry, he also found a way to put positive spin on it, saying that Amari Cooper had the hamstring issue. Well, this is 2 weeks now that he'll have to rest that hamstring. And then the other part of it is that now that he has COVID, and maybe that gives him a better chance not to catch it again between now and the end of the season, so they can put that behind them. But no, he wasn't pleased with it. But I don't get the sense that the team is upset with Amari or anything like that. I mean, just from the few players we've talked to, it doesn't seem that way, at least. But certainly it's a popular topic down here right now, and then Michael Irvin talks on TMZ and talks about how frustrated he was by it, and that obviously just adds some gasoline to the fire. But Yeah, it is. It is what it is. But again, we're not going fully in the locker rooms. We're getting some players after practice on Tuesday, and I didn't get the sense that they're disappointed in him. And certainly after the game, as frustrated as Dak was with the way he played, he was equally frustrated by any questioning reporters had of Amari not being vaccinated. Really was sticking up for him in that decision. So I don't see it being an issue in the locker room.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that Tyron Smith back for Thursday, it looks like, against the Raiders, which kind of changes everything on that offense, doesn't it, John?
It really does. I mean, Dak's the MVP of this team. There's no question about it. But, Tyron Smith is right there with Zach Martin as the next most important piece. They just can't afford to lose. I mean, everything just kind of, it's just a trickle-down effect on your offensive line when you lose a guy like Tyron Smith. There's just more on their plate. And so to get him back is huge. I thought there was a chance he was going to go in the Kansas City game because probably about 2 hours, a little more than 2 hours before the game, he was out there warming up with Lyle Collins and going through stretching like he normally does. And I was like, oh, so maybe he's going to give this a go. And then he didn't. And he was moving well. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe they're just saving him because they know that if you don't play him in this game, then you should be able to have him for the next two. And that appears to be the case. He was a full participant on Tuesday, which was a good sign. So, yeah, having him back is going to be huge because let's be honest, that Cowboys team that played the Chiefs on Sunday can't win the Super Bowl. It's just not good enough to win. It's not good enough to win multiple playoff games. But when you get the Tyron Smith back and Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence, then that's a group that can win the Super Bowl. But what we saw Sunday against the Chiefs, no, that's not going to get it done.
CeeDee Lamb, are they confident that he'll be able to clear the protocol by Thursday?
I don't know if I would say confident, but they're hopeful. And the fact that he technically practiced on Tuesday, but as we were going out to talk to players, he was leaving the field. So he did something out there. And so that's a positive step because, these concussions are you cannot compare. This isn't an ankle sprain where you can compare it to, this guy was out this long. He had an ankle sprain. Concussions are all over the map. Every player, every human being is different with this. But it sounds like he had mild symptoms even during the game, and he seemed to be in pretty good shape on Monday when he met with coaches and the training staff. And then today, from what Mike McCarthy said, everything seemed to be in a good spot. And the fact that he was even out there doing anything at all seems to be a pretty good sign that he has a good chance of being able to play in the game on Thursday. So, they're not going to rule him out. So it's a possibility. I mean, I will say, me personally, after I found out he had a concussion on that play right at the end of the first half, I thought for sure he was going to be out for Thursday. But that's not the case. They're optimistic. There's a chance he could play.
Yeah, that play right there was the one where there were two plays I knew everything was going wrong. You mentioned the Dak throw early in the game where he didn't hit it, and I was like, something's off already. It just felt like it was off. And then that play in the end zone was like, yeah, this is not their day. Not only did they throw an interception in the end zone on a ball that CeeDee Lamb usually catches, he got hurt on the way down. It just was not their day.
No question about that at all. And that's a ball that was just a little underthrown by Dak. And, to your point, like going back to the Gallup one too, it just was the type of game where you weren't going to get a lot of those opportunities. And so when you did, you had to capitalize on them. They're just points were just not going to be there like there were in previous weeks and how they normally are for this Cowboys offense. So, people listening to this can think like, oh, that's only one play or that was just another play. Yeah, but there was only going to be a few plays that you had to really capitalize. And frankly, they didn't score any touchdowns because in those situations when they did get those plays, they didn't hit on any of them.
Is it fortunate in at least, on paper and everything that's going on? Look, the Raiders are a team that has a lot of talent. They've got, Derek Carr was having a good year before kind of everything went south. I mean, they've lost Henry Ruggs because of the awful tragedy in him and what he did, John Gruden and all that stuff. I just get the feeling this is a team that's maybe lost its juice at all because of everything that's happened around them, not necessarily what's happened to them on the field.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. The one thing I will say, though, is playing the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, having Rich Bisaccia as their head coach, Rod Marinelli still there. I can see the group being really amped to possibly, play for them, and also the fact of just trying to get this thing back on track for them. They haven't won, I believe, since the Ruggs accident. And so I don't think that you can just assume that, like, the Cowboys going there is going to be just like the Falcons game. I will say, though, because of how Dak played against the Chiefs, I see a highly motivated Dak Prescott, and just generally speaking, when he's at home in a bigger game like this, where nationally televised, he usually bounces back and plays pretty well. And so I think, especially with Tyron Smith, I mean, the Raiders have a good pass rush. Having Tyron Smith back should allow Dak a little extra time, and then maybe it also helps get the running game going as well. So, yeah, I like the Cowboys' chances, but I'm not sleeping on the fact of I could see this being a motivated Raiders team to try and get something going, because this might be their last chance to kind of get it back on track for the rest of the season.
All right, last question. Jason Garrett let go today by the Giants. You've covered him. You covered him a long time in Dallas, and then he's been the last couple of years as the offensive coordinator there. That was an abysmal offensive performance last night that kind of goes with a lot of abysmal offensive performances the Giants have had over the last couple of years. Your thoughts on Jason Garrett no longer being with the Giants?
Yeah, after that game when Joe Judge, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he basically said something along the lines of, I can understand why some of these players are upset. And obviously that was a shot at their coaching staff. And when he was talking about players, he meant the offensive players, just because of how stagnant the offense really has been, but particularly in that game against Tampa. And so that wasn't a good sign at all for the coach to say that, especially a guy like Joe Judge, who really doesn't give much to the media, especially at the podium after losses. And so it obviously wasn't looking good for Jason Garrett. That offense, wasn't really going anywhere. And then the other part of it is, like, the hopes were that they were going to develop Daniel Jones into this franchise quarterback, and that just really hasn't happened. And I know their offensive line being what it is, that's a huge issue. And as we all saw in Dallas, Jason Garrett, everything for him on that offense starts with building a good, solid offensive line. They never really had that. And so now when I look at it, I'm kind of like, so what's next for him? Because I don't see another team giving him a chance to be an OC. So then does he go to another team to be a quarterback coach? Because I just don't get the sense that he's all set with his NFL coaching career. Like, he loves the NFL. He wants to coach in the NFL. So I'm interested to see what that next step's going to be, because I could see teams still given opportunities to be a quarterback coach. I just don't know that somebody, especially with the way the NFL is and where it's going on offense, is going to want to hire someone that had, obviously, things didn't work out in Dallas, and then now this in New York. He might become an offensive coordinator somewhere down the line again. But I just don't think that'll be the next stop. I would be surprised, but I think he's going to, possibly have to be a quarterback coach or something like that. And really, to be honest with you, it might come down to one of these things like Dan Quinn did, where it was like when he took his time off after he was let go by the Falcons, it was like he went through the entire process of everything he did. He changed a lot of things, and obviously, as we can see this year, he's changed them for the better.
John Machota, The Athletic. John, enjoy the game on Thanksgiving. I'll be there as a fan, something I've not really ever gotten to do. So I'll be there, so I won't get to see you, but still, enjoy the game. Enjoy the if you can maybe sneak me down some mac and cheese that I haven't had in 2 years. I miss it terribly. From the press box, that'd be great.
I will try my best to do that. I will tell you this. One of the things I'm looking forward to in this game is just, and this is just my opinion, nobody be offended by this, I think these are the two best uniforms in the NFL.
I agree with you. I totally agree on that one. John Machota of The Athletic with us here on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Ben Sims, tight end for Baylor, 3 catches for 25 yards against Kansas State. Had a catch early on when Blake Shapen took over at quarterback. 25 catches for 313 yards and 4 touchdowns, and has the 1 rushing touchdown as well. Baylor's becoming a program that uses the tight ends about as well as almost anybody else in America. And Ben Sims is one of the reasons for that, and he met with the media ahead of the game with Texas Tech.
Obviously a lot to play for this week. I mean, how fired up is the team about this?
I'd say we're pretty excited. It goes back to like what we say, like 1 week at a time. And if we control the things we can control this week, maybe we might find ourselves in a new situation next week.
Okay.
Ben, is it almost on that? Makes things more interesting. Yeah. But I think if we take care of what we're supposed to take care of, I think we have an opportunity for things to play out in our favor. So we'll be watching.
You guys are obviously playing really well, and y'all played really well at McLean. What is it about, obviously home field helps, but, you guys have just taken it to a really good level every week.
Well, Coach Rand emphasizes the energy levels and stuff, and when we have the whole team and the whole crowd with us, it just really feels like everyone's got each other's back, especially like the younger guys are called like the Juice Crew. I don't know if you've heard that.
I've heard about them, yeah.
Man, they get hyped. I guess that's the right word to say. Very energetic, gets us going. Really makes it feel like everybody's like really bought in and like invested into like that specific moment. So I guess just everyone there's a great advantage to have.
Yeah, Dylan and Coach both mentioned them at the game at K-State. I guess he decided to take them on the road with you. Was that kind of a cool deal to have them with you?
For sure. You can see a difference in the way we were on the sidelines against TCU, and then versus against K-State. Energy makes all the difference in the world. So.
Thoughts on Blake and how he played? Were you surprised by how smoothly he kind of came in and played?
I think Blake was just doing Blake things, to be honest. Blake's a ball player. He's a great player. He shows it in practice every day. So for him to go out there and do that was pretty impressive, but I also wasn't surprised.
Along those lines, when Gary goes out and you need a voice in the huddle, does an older player step up there, or is Blake, even as a freshman, come in and kind of fill that role?
He stepped into a big role on Saturday. I'd say it's really a collective group thing. Everyone's got each other's backs. Everyone's really like getting on each other, because if you do your 111th, good things are going to happen. So I guess the accountability aspect, and then Blake coming in, man, we had his back, and he knew that. So,
Jalen Petrie was named one of the finalists for the Thorpe Award today. What do you see from him every day in practice, and what does he bring this team?
What don't I see? Man, tough, hardworking, competitive dude. Brings it every single day. He plays for his teammates. He's a great teammate guy. If I'm ever in need to talk to somebody, he's there for me. I think as a whole, he just from top to bottom knows how to be a good teammate, a great player. He does the things he's supposed to do, does extra. He sets a great example for like the younger guys. I have nothing bad to say about him.
Why is he so good at getting in opponents' backfields? He's got 15 tackles for loss for a guy who plays a safety, basically.
So I'd say the fact that he's able to really put moves on people. You don't think he's twitchy until you get up and I go against him every day. He's a pretty twitchy guy. So for him to just dice guys up, juke them, quick. He's very quick, very football savvy. He'll call plays out before we even run him. He's just very high football IQ. He just knows what's going on. So credit to him.
Ben, is it enough of a kind of a tight end room type deal that you celebrate when Drake scores? You guys, I think between the two of y'all have scored more tight end touchdowns than any in program history.
Yeah, it fires me up. I think I said it last week or 2 weeks ago that when we score touchdowns when there's two tight ends on the field, man, no better feeling. So whether it's me or him or whoever it is, we get excited for each other. So.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Black Friday. It gets all the attention, but what about Truck Friday? Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and we say enough is enough. AirPods? Good luck storing your tools in those things. Get me a toolbox, please, for $50 off at Pickup Outfitters. And a bathrobe is not going to keep your golf clubs or fishing poles covered up in your bed. You need to give your wife some help and send her to Pickup Outfitters instead. We got a truckload of specials for Truck Friday. WeatherTech or Husky floor liners, $40 off when you purchase a set. Free plug in the bed with every gooseneck or fifth wheel install. Spray in bed liners with a lifetime warranty, $75 off. ARE camper shells or DCU units, $200 off. $150 off amp research power steps. Catskin leather kits, $100 off. A complete list of specials is in our showroom. Truck Friday is 8 days only from Friday, November 26th through Saturday, December 4th. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. On the web at createacommotion.com/Truck Friday.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
New cars and trucks are coming. New car inventory is low, but GM just announced they'll release a steady flow of vehicles through the fall. Now is the time to get your name on Richard Carr's first in-line priority list and get a car or truck first. Call Richard Carr Motors or go online to discuss cars and trucks in transit today. Go to richardcarr.com for more details.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Thanks to Champion Salon and Barber for their continued sponsorship of the Top 5. Big things going on at the Woodway location. Big expansion coming. It's going to look great. They're going to have a putting green. Lots of cool stuff going on there. So, again, book your appointment at championsalonandbarber.com. All right, this came out of, guys, I don't know if you saw this, but a lot of people are asking questions about Thanksgiving meals and NFL press conferences this week, which I think is kind of silly, but they've got to do it. But Mac Jones, quarterback for the Patriots, says he doesn't like any pies. And that was surprising to me. I mean, I understand that, listen, if you rank baked goods, maybe cookies are number 1, maybe cakes number 2, pies number 3, but I cannot just let, pies and this slander from Mac Jones stand, but he has his opinion. It's fine. I wanted to stick up for the pie as an American.
Because you like them?
I do. I mean, there's good enough pies.
Well, I like to think that I bleed red, white, and blue, but I'm with Mac Jones here. I'm not a big fan either. I have never been on Thanksgiving. Always have them out there, but I have never been a pie guy. I think it's the consistency of it. I think it's just like the crust fill-in combo. It's not my cup of tea, so I think I'm with Mac Jones on this.
Yeah.
All right, I love pumpkin pie, but I only eat it. I love it so much I eat it maybe twice a year.
Well, that's the only time it should be eaten.
The Mrs. Smith pumpkin pie or Marie Calendar pumpkin pie that you put in the oven. All the other ones to me that you find that are already made, I don't like them. But during the holidays, I'll have a couple of different pumpkin pies with big old thing of whipped cream. Yeah. All
right, number 5, banana cream.
Yeah, it's so smooth. God,
it's smooth. Yeah. It's delicious.
Yeah.
How can you not like banana cream? And it's got potassium. So there's your, in spite of the massive amounts of sugar.
I don't care about potassium.
It's good for your kidneys. That's what I'm telling you.
It's potassium. I don't go eat a banana pie, cream pie, because of potassium.
No,
it's because it
but
tastes good.
I'm trying to rope in everybody here.
Oh my
This is
God.
where we try to bring people together as Americans, Smokey. We're too divided, and pie can get us back together.
I don't think so, but go ahead.
Yeah. Number 4, which is chocolate. Notice I did not put, I'm going to tell you right now, pecan's not on this list.
I definitely.
The southern audience is going to come over.
I know. Pecan's not on this list.
Fine. I mean,
I've never liked it either.
Born and raised in Texas, and I get my South card revoked. I don't care. That's another one. I don't like any. I'm a plain and dry kind of guy. Surprise. I don't like consistency is a big thing to me. So I don't like a crunchy pecan.
It's crunchier than goo.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that texture difference at all. No.
My dad could not eat enough pumpkin pie. Of course, being from Florida, then they basically, I don't know who invented the pumpkin pie.
And here's the deal. I also left key lime off this list, which might be my favorite pie, but it's not a Thanksgiving pie. It's more of a spring and summer pie.
Yeah, pecan, I can do without it.
It's a beachwear pie.
Have you ever had a piece of pecan pie? Because I don't think I have.
Yeah, I don't like pecans.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't like it, and I don't like the consistency, so I really don't like it. But the chocolate, which is what we're talking about, I would eat the filling, and that's it. Yeah.
Look, little whipped cream, chocolate.
Now, there's different kinds.
Yeah, but this is the one I like.
What about the silk, the
chocolate silk
pie?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the Village Inn where I grew up in Fort Myers had a great chocolate silk pie that we got at Thanksgiving. It was wonderful. It's the only time my mom would let us get it. So, but yeah, the chocolate silk pie was fantastic. Number 3, cherry. If only for the song by Warrant, but no, cherry pie is great. Little a la mode, little slice of vanilla ice cream that melts a little bit on top of it while it's warm.
Is it good if you have to put something on it to make it better?
I mean, it's all together. Again,
potassium?
That's calcium.
Got magnesium.
That's calcium. And cherries are good for something. I can't remember what it was.
I have brought, Craig, on occasion have gotten you a cherry pie. Not very often, but HEB, I'll give them a plug. They have some amazing pre-made cherry pies that are very, very, with a whipped cream center. You talk about the crust. There's not a lot of crust on this one. Okay.
Yeah. Number 2, pumpkin. Pumpkin number 2. It's great. It's only good this time of year. If you have pumpkin pie in March, what are you even doing with your life? You're just lost. You're just a lost soul who's pining for the fall. You got to move ahead. March is key lime time. March is maybe lemon meringue time. That's not.
Or just no pie.
Yeah, or not. Yeah, exactly. And number 1, because this is America, apple. There's so many different ways you can do apple pie. I like a little cinnamon in mine, but
it's very similar to pecan.
If you do it right.
It's very sweet. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that one, but I know it's probably delicious. Is that the one that's better when it's warm?
Yes.
Is that the one that's probably better than any of the other ones when it's warm?
Warm apple pie, yeah. I mean, we talk about that, and I've had apple pie. Again, I'm not a big pie fan, but if I had to eat one, apple would probably be up there as far as, taste and consistency and all that, and is very, obviously, a traditional and red, white, and blue as well. So, yeah, apple pie number 1. I can't really argue with that.
All right, Paul, I like it. Of those, I would think that chocolate pie would be at the top with me, a chocolate silk pie, then pumpkin only a couple times a year. And the other ones, that's fine, the way they are. But key lime is really, really good.
Key lime is, that's not really a...
What about a New York cheesecake? Is that a pie or a cake?
That's a cheesecake.
Yeah, I know they call it a cake. Yeah, but it seems like it's more a pie.
No, it's cheesecake.
Okay.
Here's the thing. My favorite pie technically is Boston cream pie, but it's really a cake. I don't know why they do that, but...
Boston cream. Well, see, then I could
it's
be
2
right
cakes
about the New
with
York
custard
cheesecake.
in the middle.
Then. Yeah,
but they call it pie in Boston.
Whatever you eat on Thanksgiving Day, enjoy it. Whether it's turkey or ham or both, or maybe it's even a prime rib. I don't know. And enjoy all the goodies. Enjoy all the time together, and enjoy Thanksgiving. We'll be back Saturday. Our pregame show 9:00 from here in the studio for Baylor and Texas Tech. For Craig Smoke and Paul Catalina, for Jack McKenzie and Armstrong Sims, for our incredible ownership with Brian Etheridge and also Ashley Hodge and Colt Barber and everybody else that's a part of this staff. Happy Thanksgiving. This is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports, and good night.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.